Break ends in 5 seconds.
She can put away a large pizza by herself. He's allergic to cheese. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Long rebound dug up by Gabby Marshall. Scoops a pass to Clark. Logo 3. Got it! 22 is now number 1. Caitlin Clark is the NCAA's all-time scoring leader in women's basketball history.
Well, I thought about doing it a couple possessions earlier, but I was a little tired, so I needed to catch my breath a little bit. But yeah, I think I kind of stepped back to my left a little bit and was able to get it off and went in and then celebrated. And I honestly thought Coach Butter was going to call the timeout before I had to go play defense, but she didn't, so I had to go play defense.
From nearly the logo to make history. Hey, welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. I cannot remember the last time we started a show talking about women's college basketball, but that is the Caitlin Clark effect, Perloff.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we did have the John Cena thing that took over a month of our lives. It seems like a long time ago, but Caitlin Clark is back. This is so exciting. And, of course, she had to do it that way.
Yes. This is like, Derek Jeter hitting a home run on the 3,000th hit, with a flair. And that is Caitlin Clark, right? She has the flair. She has the charisma. She's got everything. She's got the NCAA Division I women's scoring title now, 3,569 points. She's got more assists than anyone in Division I women's college basketball history. This was her fourth game of 45 points or more. She finished with 49 points last night. And the one thing that has evaded her of all of these accolades and the game changer nature of her, of how she plays, the eyeballs, selling out 50,000 seat arenas, the ticket prices on the secondary market are crazy. The TV viewership is unlike anything we've ever seen for women's college hoops. The one thing she doesn't have is a championship yet. Now, Iowa's the fourth-ranked team in the country. There's 4 games to go in the regular season, and you get to the Big Ten tournament, and then obviously the NCAA tournament. The one thing she doesn't have is the title. Perloff, can you be considered the greatest or even one of the greatest of all time, like many are saying Caitlin Clark is? Can you be in that category without a title?
Yeah, I don't think a title specifically for Caitlin Clark is going to define her legacy. I think we're going to look back and kids are not even going to remember if she won a title or not because she's so unique and it's her team. It's Iowa. If she was at UConn and didn't win a title, that would be a huge problem.
Right.
But the fact that she's at Iowa, no one expects Iowa to win a national title. I'm not sure the women's team has ever won. I just looked at it. They made the Final Four once because they had the best. They had C. Vivian Stringer in 1983 and they are not a powerhouse. So the fact that she got to a final with Iowa is enough to me. I understand what you're like. Yeah. If you're talking GOATs, yes, titles are obviously tied to GOATs. But for Caitlin Clark, it just doesn't seem to matter that if she wins a title or not. Her legacy is cemented. I think people are not going to look back and say she lost that game to LSU. They're not even going to remember with her.
Interesting. So I think just broaden this out for any sport. If you're going to be considered the GOAT, or I'd say even top 3 or even top 5, I think you need to have won a title. Now, I don't know if that's fair. Maybe that's the ring-chasing culture that I've sort of grown up in or what have you. But I think you need that hardware, especially in basketball. I mean, we can talk about this on the football side, and Dan Marino never won a title, and there's been greats who have not won. But especially in basketball where there's only 5 people on the floor. So let's just take last night, for example. Caitlin Clark scored or assisted on 79 of Iowa's 106 points. She's the offense. I mean, that's like over 75% of the offense. She's basically as a hand in, either totally responsible or partly responsible. I think that for basketball, we do this a lot, whether it's on the men's side or the women's side, to crack the top 5 or top 3. even if you are a trailblazer or game changer, I think you have to have won.
Well, I think college and pro are a little bit different when we're talking about, because college, you have a short window. You only get 4 years to do it.
That's true.
And there's a lot of competition, especially in the tournament.
Although nowadays you get to be in college for like 7 years.
Yeah, by the way, I read that Caitlin has a COVID year.
She does have a COVID
but I
year.
don't think she's going to do that. I think she's going to go into the WNBA draft. But think about, forget Dan Marino. What about Bo Jackson?
Right.
He never won a title, and a lot of people say he's the greatest college football player I've ever seen. So I think there are certain circumstances where you can ignore the titles. Obviously, Christian Laettner is on all the great lists because he won titles, but Caitlin Clark is closer to me to Bo Jackson. By the way, that sounds like a really silly analogy.
Yeah, no,
I think people are going to look back and say, "Oh, that's the greatest college basketball player I ever won," and they're not going to consider the titles
Or that you ever saw.
that I ever saw.
Yeah, right.
Sorry,
Yes.
that I ever saw.
It's funny because you watch Caitlin like, wow, I feel like I'm watching Steph Curry. I feel like I'm watching something I've never seen before on the women's side because of how she pulls up from the logo and how she plays. I mean, listen, she's got a bit of an inside game too, and she has all the assists. She's awesome. But if I'm going to have her in the conversation with Breanna Stewart and Diana Taurasi and Candace Parker and Cheryl Miller, who I know you think is the overall women GOAT when it comes to women's college hoops, or Brittany Griner, like I would feel odd putting her in there. Just like I would feel maybe a little odd even on the football side putting Dan Marino ahead of a Tom Brady or a Peyton Manning.
But let me ask you, though, a lot of those names you said were UConn players. They won every title. So those
Candace Parker went to Tennessee.
Right. But a lot of them.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of UConn. How many in a row did Geno win? I mean, how many did he win? So I feel like this sport, if you're going to look at titles, you're just boxing out so many different players.
Right.
And I just think, here's the thing. They had so many stars around him. It's hard to tell. I mean, how many All-Americans did Diana Taurasi play with? So I know she was amazing, and I'm not saying anything bad. I'm a huge Diana Taurasi fan, but I think it's hard to separate the titles in this particular sport, women's college basketball, from the greatness of the players.
Well, see, that's the thing, though, about basketball. I think it's just about rings, period. And again, we're talking about Caitlin Clark, who broke the record last night for Division I women's college basketball scoring. She's the leader now, and assists, by the way. So she's got both of those titles. And we're asking, can she be considered the greatest or one of the greatest of all time if she hasn't won a championship? And she hasn't yet. Now, she has another chance because the NCAA tournament is coming up. But I think with basketball it's even more about, like, rings, even more so than football or baseball. I think there's an idea with football, baseball, and even hockey, like how many other factors are influencing the game, whereas in basketball, one person is playing offense and defense. You do have so much more of a hand on the winning and the losing as opposed to, Bo Jackson, who's at the mercy of anyone. Randy Moss is at the mercy of his quarterback. It depends on the position you're playing. Basketball, I think we're unforgiving in that way. I think you have to be winning titles to be considered the greatest because of the time you're logging on the floor.
I just think that, especially college basketball, there's so many exceptions, though, because college basketball has such a wide range of teams. Larry Bird's universally considered one of the great college basketball players of all time, went to Indiana State. The fact that he didn't win with Indiana State, now, is that a fair comparison, Indiana State and Iowa? Although Indiana State's back in the top 25. We've been talking about this one. It was just such an incredible achievement. I think everybody looks back at Larry Bird on the cover of Sports Illustrated, Indiana State, and is not saying, oh, he came up short in any way because he didn't win a title. I think people kind of gloss over that. I think they're going to do that with Caitlin Clark. I think they're going to not remember. The odds are they're number 4 this year. They're probably not going to win a title.
South Carolina looks real good.
Yeah, there's a lot of really great teams. So if she doesn't win, I don't even think people are going to remember if she won or not. I think she could, to a certain age group, she'll probably be the GOAT. I think that there are some historical figures here that have such resumes. It's going to be hard for her to pass them. But we're going to look back and say, oh, Caitlin Clark was great, but she didn't win a title. I don't think that narrative will ever be. I don't think that's something that's ever going to come out of people's mouths.
I do. I think it's, again, for all of her accomplishments, and she's fun to watch, and it's great for the women's game. I just think it does look like something's missing, just like all of the greats if you never won, and especially in basketball, the Allen Iversons and the Patrick Ewings and the Steve Nashes. I mean, there's always going to be that thing like, man, you just don't have that last resume topper.
Do you agree with me, though, that the UConn players all kind of maybe cancel each other out to some extent? Maybe you don't agree with me, but there's just so many greats.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think in some ways you're the best of the best. So if you're like a Breanna Stewart and you go in 4 straight most outstanding players in the Final Four and you were playing for UConn, think about the other competition you had just to be a standout on your own team. and then to be making that kind of impact,
But I mean, I do think but you're talking about Diana Taurasi, you're talking about Maya Moore.
No, they're all amazing. I know.
I feel like I think it's a funny thing too, where Kelsey Plum, who just got they have, and Caitlin Clark too, and SABRINA IOENESCU. The fact that they weren't in that UConn chowder to me means something. I mean, come on, they win every title, so I would think that this is exception. Women's college basketball. I think because of the consolidation of power at the very top,
right?
You can be considered in the GOAT conversation without a title. I think maybe I understand Dan Marino; it's a little bit different, but I think women's college basketball and men's college basketball, you could be at the top of the list even without a title. Not every sport, but specifically that kind of sport, I think you could be considered the best. And I don't think people care if Caitlin Clark wins or not. It's not affecting the ratings. I don't think I would say.
For sure.
Yeah, I feel like she's revolutionizing the sport, and no one expects her to win, which is amazing too.
Which is a weird kind of moving of the goalpost, don't you think? I
mean, because it's Iowa. The Iowa women's program is not elite, so that's why the goalpost is at a different spot. If she was at UConn and did not win, that would be a huge problem.
Right. I mean, yeah. See, I think we're talking about the echelon of the upperest echelon. We're talking about, not the Hall of Very Good. We're talking about the Hall of Fame or the Hall of Great. We're talking about, the inner circle here when it comes to Caitlin Clark. And so to never have won and again, she still has an opportunity. She's got the NCAA tournament in front of her, and we're going to be talking about it a lot. I just think you need it. EJ, I think we should put a poll up, right, at Maggie and Pearl. Does Caitlin Clark need to win a title to be considered the greatest of all time? Or you can broaden it out. Does anyone need to win a title to be considered the greatest of all time?
Yeah, I like my Bo Jackson analogy. He's the best college football player I ever saw. Won a Heisman.
He was at the Auburn men's game the other night. Yeah, EJ.
Well, one of the things I thought about with this conversation with Caitlin Clark is one of the players we talk about in terms of being the greatest of all time in college basketball on the men's side is someone who didn't win at all, basically, which was Pete Maravich.
Right.
Pete Maravich averaging 44 points a game in college basketball. We look at all the great lists. He ranks 1, 2, or 3 in a lot of them, even though he was basically a one-man band playing for his dad. Like Caitlin Clark took their team to the Final Four. They've won a lot. This is a program, like Perloff said, that is not some, they're not UConn. They're not Tennessee, with Pat Summitt. Like they're
not a powerhouse.
Not a powerhouse. So
they're still a Big Ten team, but they're not a powerhouse.
Right. So I don't know if she should be held to the same high bar of championships as people like Brandon Stewart or Diana Taurasi, with the expectation every year is you win a championship. I think that there has to be some kind of difference when we view these women through this lens of greatest of all time.
Yeah, but I wonder what Diana Taurasi would say about that. I wonder what Brittany Griner would say about that. When you're talking about the elite of the elite, Brittany Griner won at Baylor. She helped put that program on the map. I know, obviously, Kim Mulkey was there and they had a lot of talent, but was Baylor this big women's powerhouse before Brittany got there? Forgive me, but I don't think they were.
No.
But Brittany's got the problem. Nobody appreciates the big player.
I know.
It's like the Lou Alcindor, Karima thing. Like,
she has the record for blocks.
She's just tall. Like it happens in NBA history. So centers are viewed very differently.
I'm just saying there are other women who have been at not UConn, not Tennessee. And I think we hold their standard as tight to titles.
Yeah, I mean, Cheryl Swoops, someone in Texas Tech, won a championship.
Cheryl Miller was at USC.
Yeah,
Lisa
Cheryl
Leslie.
Miller at USC.
So Lisa Leslie never won, and she was at USC. And she's got every other accolade.
Lisa Leslie never won a title? See, I didn't even know that. I'm shocked at that.
Well, I mean,
Lisa Leslie never won?
Not in college. In the WNBA.
See, to me, that speaks perfectly to this. She's in the GOAT conversation for sure to me, and I did not know she didn't win a college title.
See, Lisa's an all-timer. I mean, amazing. I don't know if she is in the GOAT conversation, though.
Yeah.
For women's college, for college.
Yeah, it's funny. That's ignorance on my part that I didn't know she won. But yeah, I don't care. Lisa, you say Lisa Leslie, everyone's like, whoa, one of the greatest of all times. Nobody says she didn't win in college to me.
Okay, but there's on the men's side, there's guys who didn't win in college, and we don't consider them all-time great players. Allen Iverson never won. We don't consider him an all-time great college player. Shaq never won. I mean, we do probably consider him an all-time great college player.
He wasn't that great.
I think people consider Allen Iverson an all-time great college player, though.
Iverson's closer. Shaq honestly wasn't that great.
Tim Duncan never made a Final Four.
He wasn't that great in college either.
I would disagree with that. I think people think
he was good. I thought Sheed played him head-to-head really well, and I remember I was a huge college basketball fan. He was really good. He developed in the pros. So did Shaq. Those guys really took off. They got much better. Tim was so young too. I mean,
Stayed all 4 years, Tim Duncan.
Yeah, I think he came out at 20 though, right?
No, Tim Duncan played all 4. Yeah,
he played all 4 years, but he was on the younger side. Leitner, to me, was a more developed college player than all those guys. Like, Leitner killed Shaq in that one famous game. Anyway, regardless, the point is, I think we have to talk. We're separating college sports from pro sports.
Yep.
You know, if Caitlin Clark never wins a WNBA title, that's different. She has 12 years to do it. College basketball is such a brief window. It's such a slice of time. And in this sport, UConn won every title forever. So it's hard. I mean, listen, Kelsey Plum, SABRINA IOENESCU did not win, and they're high up on
Oregon.
lists.
Yep.
They're high up on lists.
So I think it's twofold here. We can talk about Caitlin Clark specifically being in that conversation for greatest all time. And then I think you broaden it out to sports in general, you know, especially basketball, where you're playing offense and you're playing defense. You're not one of 11 people or one of 22 people who are on the field like a football game. You know, do you have to win to be considered the greatest? I think you do.
Okay, I disagree. I think in college, you do not have to win a title to be considered a GOAT.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Let us know what you think about this topic. Do you have to win a title in college to be considered the greatest of all time, especially in basketball? And I think in the pros, too. Can you imagine we'd be talking about the LeBron and Michael Jordan comparison if LeBron never won a ring? We would not even have the conversation.
Yeah, no, it's tough because and to me, it's because you have a long time to win a title. You better win in the pros, or you're not getting this. Then you get stuck with Barkley and Ewing and Karl Malone, and you don't want to be in that group.
855-212-4CBS. So much to do today. Glad you're on board. We've got a lot of football to get to. We've got a lot of fun sound for you today. It's Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. Big debate on the show today. Can Caitlin Clark, the Iowa superstar, be considered a GOAT or the GOAT without winning a title? My argument is no one's going to remember if she won a title or not, because in this particular sport, women's college basketball, if you didn't wear a UConn Huskies or a Tennessee Volunteers jersey for a better part of 30 years, you probably weren't winning a title. It was just, so you can't knock out all the players who weren't UConn in the GOAT list. So to me, titles are a little different, especially in this sport. And no one's going to care because Caitlin Clark is so entertaining. I think that actually goes above titles in this conversation.
Wow, interesting. Like her game changerness sort of puts her up to the top. I would say not just Caitlin Clark and not just women's college basketball. I think basketball in general. You cannot be considered the greatest of all time if you did not win titles. It is that kind of a sport where you have such an impact on both the offensive and defensive side. In theory, if you want to play defense, you have such an impact on both sides of the floor, and there's only 5 people on your team playing at once. You have to win a title if you're anywhere near the GOAT conversation. We would never talk about LeBron with Jordan if he hadn't won titles.
Okay, but I know you weren't even alive for this, but is anybody denigrating Larry Bird's college career because he did not win a title with Indiana State?
No, I get what you're saying.
It's similar because of the underdog nature of this. And Larry Bird even got to go against Magic Johnson. And no offense to Angel Reese, but Caitlin Clark doesn't really have her Magic Johnson, the 1-versus-1 relationship here. So I think that you can forgive it because it's Iowa.
Right. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. You can also go to @Maggie and Pearl on, every social media platform under the sun, and you can find our content. We're there for you. Stan is in Arkansas. Good morning, Stan. How you doing, sir?
Well, good morning. How y'all doing?
We're doing great.
I love the show.
Oh, thank you.
The only thing I miss is I had my alarm set at 5 a.m., and the kids are singing that jingle, "It's going to be a good day."
Oh, from DA show. I know. That's such a great, it was always a great opening for DA. I would say we'd play it, but it's really their thing. So I don't want to seem like we're taking
I know it. But anyway, I have my alarm set for that.
Okay.
But,
we'll come up with another song.
I managed to find it and put it on my phone alarm anyway. But anyway, I'm a Kansas Jayhawker.
Okay.
I grew up on a ranch right outside the city limits, okay? My son was born there February the 1st, 1978. And I drove a Jayhawk Volkswagen van.
Nice.
In Lawrence. And, I'm Chiefs and all Jayhawks.
Wow. You had a Jayhawks Volkswagen van.
The football team's winning. But anyway, I'm a huge Caitlin Clark fan.
Yeah.
Okay? She's like totally awesome. But she doesn't hold the points record.
Right.
Kansas Jayhawk girl, Lynette Woodard, 3,649 points.
Yep.
She played there in the 70s during the time that I was there. I went to school there.
Yeah, so it was not the NCAA back then, but you're absolutely right, Stan. And man, would I love a photo of that Jayhawk Volkswagen van.
Yeah.
Thank you, Stan, and thank you for the kind words. And we'll come up with our own feel good song. That's a good point.
That's a great idea.
But AIAW was the governing body at the time.
But correct me if I'm wrong. She's going to catch Woodard. So very soon, and she's probably going to catch Maravich too.
So Lynette Woodard had 3,649 points. Caitlin Clark's 3,569. So 80 points away.
Yeah.
Caitlin Clark's averaging 32 points a game. So this is gonna go down quick. And then as far as Pete Maravich, she's 98 points behind Pete Maravich. Now, here's the thing about Maravich. He did it in 3 years. That's pretty incredible because freshmen couldn't play on the Division I team, I guess, at the time in the 70s.
Oh, yeah.
So he did it in 3 years, so I think that makes it a little more apples to oranges.
The ultimate green light. I'm one of many people who get suckered into a Pete Maravich YouTube reel because he was like a Harlem Globetrotter playing college basketball. Now, I understand EJ was talking about this. Like, he did not have a lot of success. Like, were they even close to winning a title? Not really.
No. His last year, I think, was the only year they won 20 games. But those teams, he was 22-10 his senior year. They were second in the SEC, but no national title. First 2 years, they were essentially a 500 team.
So
he was averaging 44 points.
I mean, we could have a whole other conversation about Caitlin breaking Maravich's record and what does that mean? But again, he did in 3 years. She's doing it in 4, and then Lynette Woodard, who does hold the AIAW Big School record because she did play at Kansas. But that record is gonna likely fall.
And by the way, if you look at the records for the most points in men's college basketball, it's not a GOAT list. It's far from it. My guy Lionel Simmons from LaSalle, the L Train, was way up there. It's not necessarily the greatest players of all time. It's not Christian Laettner and Shaq. It's more like I know the guy we're talking about, Antoine Davis from Detroit Mercy, Freeman Williams. So I don't know. I don't think being the scoring leader makes you a GOAT in any sense. Because who's leading the NBA in scoring is not doesn't make you an MVP by any means.
No, but I mean LeBron did it, and we basically stopped the sport for a couple days just to celebrate him.
No, I mean year by year. Yeah, you're right. But year? I think in college basketball especially, the guy that scores 35 points a game does not necessarily win the title. So I think there's two different buckets, right? Just being the greatest scorer. George Gervin was the greatest scorer of all time. He didn't sniff an NBA. No, not the great, but this former Spur was a great scorer, never sniffed an NBA title. No one puts him on the GOAT list, do they?
Let's go to Tony. He's in Michigan. Hey, Tony, you think we've got this whole conversation backwards. What's up, sir?
Yeah, it's really crazy the way we judge greatest players. Now, I'll admit in the basketball argument, championships are certainly relevant because like you say, they have so much effect on the game. It's just much smaller. But when we're talking earlier about greatest quarterbacks, to judge a quarterback on winning Super Bowls is ridiculous. This is the greatest team sport of all time. In success and failure, certainly the quarterback has a bigger role than most. But, I mean, saying a Super Bowl matters, that means Trell Dilfer should be in the talk of a top quarterback of all time.
Wait, but Tony, who do you think is the greatest quarterback of all time?
Say what?
So, in your opinion, who's the greatest quarterback of all time?
I think it's tough to argue against Johnny Unitas. Considering the rules at the time and what he accomplished, it's pretty amazing.
Okay, you want to go with Johnny Unitas? Tony, thank you for the call outside the box. I think 99.9% of people who call in would say Tom Brady. And I think the reason we would say Tom Brady is why? The 7 Super Bowls.
Oh, yeah. So he set up his argument saying that you cannot judge a quarterback based on their rings. So it makes sense that he would go against Tom Brady.
Yeah, right.
I mean, Johnny, you look at his numbers are crazy low compared to now, but he was better than anyone who played in his era. It's hard to argue against the flat top Johnny Unitas. I don't think we're really geared up for that. I disagree a little bit in the sense that quarterback is the one player who touches the ball in every single play in football. So he does have a huge influence. If you're going to compare anyone to basketball, the quarterback is the one guy. I mean, there are 22 guys who start, but only 2 players touch it every single time. So I disagree that you can't put rings into the GOAT conversation. I agree with you. Brady certainly has a strong argument.
Yeah. Also, Johnny Unitas did win championships.
Yeah.
He just
won a Super Bowl. He has won.
Right. He did win a Super Bowl.
No, I think he won more than that.
He won 4 championships.
Yeah.
right? In the pre-Super Bowl era, I believe, and won in the Super Bowl era.
People put Otto Graham in the conversation because he won a bunch in Cleveland in a row, too.
Right.
Winning is a big deal for quarterback legacy.
Johnny Unitas, 3-time NFL champion, 1-time Super Bowl champion, 3-time MVP.
Right, so he wouldn't even belong in this conversation because he did win.
Well, I think for him, though, if you said Brady and you're saying, well, here's a guy that has 4 total titles, 3 of them were in a split league era or half the league wasn't playing, whatever. So I think to his point, like, Johnny Unitas has a resume that is, 10-time Pro Bowl, 5-time All. I mean, his resume is up there with anybody when you turn to just accolades, but we want to just rings. He doesn't get mentioned like, Tom Brady does or even Joe Montana. They have the same amount of titles.
In 1961, Johnny Unitas at the peak of his powers threw 16 touchdowns and 24 interceptions. So numbers-wise, and that was Joe Namath did the same thing. It was just a different sport, so it's hard to do that. But he obviously has his place in history.
Again, we are talking about Caitlin Clark, who broke the Division I women's scoring record last night. Iowa's win over Michigan. But can she be considered the greatest of all time if she doesn't win a title? Can any basketball player or any athlete be considered the greatest if they don't win a title? You can go to @Maggie and Pearl on Twitter and vote.
I don't think you could be considered one of the greatest Olympians of all time if you came up with a silver medal.
Right.
That's hard, but that's so individual. Like, he's the greatest sprinter of all time. He never got to the gold, but he's the GOAT.
Also, you wouldn't take Michael Phelps with all of his golds and be like, 2. 2 on the list. The guys have 30 gold medals.
I mean, listen, Michael Phelps was great, but Ryan Lochte, who came in, that's the GOAT.
Peter Schwartz is here all morning long with headlines. Good morning, Peter.
And good morning, Maggie. We will start with college basketball. History made last night.
Felia gets in the paint, pull up, short jumper. No. Long rebound, dug up by Gabby Marshall. Scoops a pass to Clark. Logo 3. Got it. 22 is now number 1. Caitlin Clark is the NCAA's all-time scoring leader in women's basketball history.
It wasn't just a 3, it was a logo 3 from way downtown. The call on Learfield IMG. Iowa star Caitlin Clark scoring a career-high 49 points in the Hawkeyes' 106-89 win over Michigan. She becomes the all-time NCAA women's scoring leader.
Never stop dreaming because you can achieve way more than you ever thought, and I get to live that every single day. So, and I still keep dreaming, and I'm 22 years old, so never stop.
Never stop. Clark, courtesy of NBC Sports, she now has 3,569 career points. As far as the men are concerned, last night, number 2 Purdue beat Minnesota 84-76. Now let's get to the NBA. We'll start in Salt Lake City, where Klay Thompson was a force off the bench.
Back to the basket. Klay gets it from Kuminga, fires a 3, hits another one! Oh, Klay Thompson, 7 of 11 from downtown. He's got 35.
Tim Roy on Warriors Radio, and the Warriors beat the Jazz 140-137. Klay Thompson, 35 points off the bench.
Found out this morning. Me and Steve had a good talk about it. And, you could do 2 things. You can pout, or you can go out there and respond. And I thought I did the latter very well tonight.
He sure did. Came off the bench for the first time since his rookie season, March 11th, 2012.
I have an issue with Klay Thompson's performance last night.
What was that?
So he gets benched, and all of a sudden he gets PO'd and starts playing like the old Klay Thompson. He needs this kind of push to be great. What's going on? Why doesn't Klay play like that every night? If he's capable of that, I haven't seen that in forever.
Wait a minute. You don't think this is like a great story
No.
of a guy who has to put his ego to the side and has to say, listen, I haven't been playing well. I'm going to come off the bench and it's not going to break me and I'm not going to whine about it. I'm going to be awesome. This is as inspirational as anything.
Well, where has this been, Klay? I mean, you're not that old. I mean, you're 34, I know. But if you can play like that, then how come you haven't been playing like that?
I mean, guys get into a funk, Sometimes you need a little bit of a wake-up call.
But not if you're an all-time great. Yeah, wake up. You don't need does LeBron ever need a wake-up call? No. Does Curry ever need a wake-up call?
LeBron needs days off.
Also, Klay, this guy's coming off an ACL injury and Achilles. He's not your average 34-year-old.
But he's clearly capable of this. We learned last night. So I'll be like,
Klay?
Yeah, like what about the first 5 games?
So it's so funny because I saw this and I almost shed a tear. I'm like, this is amazing. This is a great story. This is the inspiration. The person who was at the peak fell and then had to get themselves up off the mat. And you're like, man, where was this yesterday?
2 weeks ago,
2 days
he was 2 weeks ago. He was 2 for 13 from 3 against the Hawks. Like all of a sudden, you've remembered how to play basketball, Clay. What's going on here?
I think some of these guys, though, they could tap into a certain level when they're upset or when they have to. And honestly, I think Klay Thompson, come playoff time or play-in time, that's when they're going to be playing. He may be a factor in some games because he can do things like this on a one-off night.
And this is why I always say, and Perloff and I always disagree about this, does bulletin board material matter for professional athletes? Because you always say that's insulting. They shouldn't need bulletin board material. I'm like, well, they're still human.
Well, I feel like Clay needs a little too much. He was 1 for 9 against the Clippers yesterday from 3. Right. So how can you stink so bad all year and all of a sudden be great again?
Well, I think sometimes you do need a spark. Now, let's just say, like 5 years from now, right? Let's say you have a horrible week of shows.
Yes.
Let's just say you have
impossible. Would never happen. A week
feels plausible. Feels plausible. Okay.
For argument's sake, let's just say you have a week of horrible shows.
Yes.
And management comes to you and says, you know what? I think you need to go to the overnight for a couple of days.
Yes.
And now you do the greatest couple of shows you've ever done in your life, and you get back on the morning show. So you were in a little bit of a rut. You needed a wake-up call. They sent you to the overnight.
Yes.
And now you got your game back. So
yeah, but Klay Thompson's an all-time Hall of Famer. I am not.
But
Klay Thompson,
the greatest baseball players have gone on a 1 for 21 streak. They get lowered in the lineup, and they come back.
Yeah, but greats like LeBron doesn't need this kind of thing. Like he always delivers.
Needs games off. He just needs on national television.
I mean, Klay has stunk this year.
Okay, but
and now you bench him, and all of a sudden he's great again. I don't know.
The wake-up call he was looking for.
I can't believe you shed a tear over Klay Thompson in a regular season NBA game.
I'm like, man, what an inspiration this dude is. I was all about this version of Klay.
By the way, if Perloff had moved to the overnight and he was successful in the overnight, no PD's going to move him back to the morning show. They're going to keep him in the overnight.
The guy, Betty's just
by the
way,
overnight. Can we just shut down this Perloff overnight talk? Can you edit that out of the podcast?
You don't want to go to the overnight.
Meanwhile, we were just doing an overnight show in Las Vegas, basically, because we're on West Coast time, and we did see Peter was out in Las Vegas.
I was out there, for my YouTube show. A lot of fun.
We saw you shaking hands with The Rock.
Yeah,
buddy with The Rock.
I did not shake hands with The Rock. I
wasn't allowed. Cody Rhodes.
I was not allowed backstage, so no, I did not do that.
A dap up with Seth Rollins.
We told Bilotti that you were basically hugging Cody Rhodes.
It was not true. I wasn't given access. I did meet Darby Allin. He came to the show. The other wrestling league.
I heard they're going to put Peter Schwartz as a special guest referee in the main event of WrestleMania.
Look at that.
Look
how good he looked.
Me and Bilotti in a steel cage match one day.
Oh,
what do you think?
I am.
But I don't want these new because now they changed the whole thing with the tag team. Like now you can pin somebody.
Wait, I'm dying. I'm dying to hear what Bilotti thinks of this. Wait,
I have a lot of things up my sleeve.
Oh, you think you could take Schwartz?
Yes.
Matter of fact, yes, I can. That's not even cutting a promo. It's just yes.
But I want the old school steel. You have to go over the top or through the door. Like now they changed the steel cage thing now in recent years where you can get a pin in the middle of the ring. And I don't want that. I want the old steel cage where you have to climb up over the ring.
Yes, you want Mankind. Right.
Yeah, well, no, I don't want Hell in a Cell. I don't want to fall on thumbtacks. I just want to.
I'll take that Hell in a Cell.
It was a Shane who jumped off the top.
Shane has done it. Mankind has done it.
Undertaker, that was a brutal match.
Rikishi has done it. Yes.
I've talked to Mankind about that. No, sorry to name drop there. And he's like, yeah, I should have never done that.
Oh,
he's
yeah.
like Nathaniel Hackett going for that 64-yarder. And just like, yeah, I never should have done that.
That wasn't when he lost a piece of his ear, right, Pete? Like he
lost a tooth
in that. An ECW match,
No,
right?
he lost his ear in Munich, Germany.
Would you guys stop talking about Mankind? We have a cage match here, Bilotti versus Schwartz, that we're developing. It's going to be this untapped anger
the
of
fact that
Bilotti.
Pete said that he has stuff up his sleeve makes me realize Pete's working heel in this match, which is going to be very interesting.
Yes. What, a razor blade? What do you have up your sleeve?
And it's going to be in the Bundy blue cage, too. We're not going to be in this fence cage. We're going to be in the real cage, the big blue steel cage.
But Schwartz is a lot bigger than you, I think.
That's fine.
Yeah, there's a size advantage.
That didn't stop Hulk Hogan against Andre the Giant.
Well,
that's right.
That's true. But the bigger they are, the harder they fall. But I'll be confident going into this.
Does Schwartz have a low base? Better than Andy Reid getting knocked off his mark by Travis Kelce. Never would happen to Schwartz.
I'm still trying to think of what is the heel move that Pete pulls out. Does he do a spray? Does he do
No. All of a sudden, Bilotti comes out. He's like, you got to do 10 sports minutes, and then you roll in five minutes.
Mr. Fuji, sand in the eyes. Like I'm trying to think.
That's what I was thinking, Mr. Fuji. That wasn't sand, was it? It was
Salt.
It was an
Salt.
unknown power.
Right.
Yeah.
It was an unknown powder.
Yes.
That's something to have up your sleeve.
I remember my favorite cheating was. You guys don't remember? It'd be probably Iron Mike Sharp.
Oh, yeah.
So he hurt his wrist and put on this metal brace to fix it, and he had it for the next 14 years.
Yeah.
He's like, and the answer was like, I think his wrist is healed, but he still has it. Then he hits that guy and he'd be knocked out.
Why is he still wearing that wristband?
Do you remember that?
Yeah, of course. From Hamilton, Ontario.
Yeah,
Iron Mike Sharp.
Bob Orton with the broken arm.
Yeah.
And
He had that
broken
cast
arm.
on his arm for years.
That cast, I don't think I've ever seen him without the cast.
He's working with his son Randy Orton. He still had the cast on.
It was
Bilatti's
a really
heel.
bad break.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing. Bilatti is the bad guy wrestler.
Be a great heel.
I think you would be too. I can't wait for this. What do we do? Get that cage out of what, storage in Stamford, Connecticut or something? Let's go.
That one is in storage because apparently that it was so difficult on everybody that wrestled in that cage.
Yeah.
They hated that cage because it was so hard.
But
the blue cage.
I also liked it back years ago when you went to a wrestling match and they had the steel cage. The steel cage was assembled when you first got in the building. Like you would get in, sit in your seats, and like at the Garden, the steel cage would be already constructed and they would hang it from the ceiling. And then when they would get ready for the match, it would be an intermission and the cage would get lowered down. Now they put it together.
Yeah.
Don't they put it together now still?
No, they lower it.
They lower it now. There was a time where they would actually now have the crew workers would come out and they would put the cage together. But
does anyone else wish they had a time machine so they could go back and not have Peter Schwartz talk about the mechanics of the cage? What are you doing there? You're like the engineering. You're upset. What are you talking about?
I don't like change. I like it when the things the way that they
What
used
are
to
you
be.
doing? This is a sports update. You're like, well, they used to construct it in the side room and then bring it back.
It's a
What are you
union
doing?
job.
I don't think fans want to see 14 minutes of a steel cage being built.
I mean, I can barely suffer through the Zamboni at this point. Our attention spans are just so small. I don't think building this steel cage on site.
Let's get out of wrestling. Get the baseball. Major League Baseball players not happy these days. It all has to do with the new Nike Vapor Premium uniforms, which are being made by Fanatics. The players have been going to social media complaining about it, also contacting the union about the issue. One of the complaints has been the small lettering on the jerseys. There are also complaints about the colors and the font choices. Commissioner Rob Manfred yesterday said he believes the players will eventually come around to them.
The jerseys are different. They're designed to be performance wear as opposed to what has traditionally been worn, so they are going to be different. But they have been tested more extensively than any jersey in any sport. The feedback from the All-Star game last year where the jerseys were worn was uniformly positive from the players. So I think after people, wear them a little bit, I think that they're going to be really popular.
Come on. Hey, hold on. Rob people out of here. What does that have to do with the lettering looking like a child made it?
Yeah.
I mean, those uniforms are ridiculous. They look like amateur hour. What are we doing?
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Why do we have to change?
You got to save money, or you got to keep your deals together. I mean, when is 2029 coming? We need that here.
No.
We need that here, January 2029, and move on to the next commissioner, which will be Theo Epstein.
Yeah, get
All right,
Theo in
enough
here.
of this.
I have two theories about this. One, the lettering is like when you buy a jersey for your kid. And like the letters are smaller and closer together.
They're just ironed on.
They iron on. So that's one. But two, I figured this out with Rob Manfred. For the next 5 years, he's going to do everything he possibly can to ruin baseball before he leaves. This is his big final exit. He's going to chip away at little things, and he's going to leave it and be like, sayonara, everybody. I hated baseball the whole time.
He's going to take away the seventh inning stretch next. I think he'll take
hot
that
dogs
away.
and beer gone by the time he's
real war criminal. We take away hot dogs and beers in the seventh inning stretch. I cannot stand it when people say this is the most tested thing that anybody's ever done. You do not know that, Rob Manfred. There's no way for you to tell that this is the most tested jersey in terms of performance that's ever been created. Why would you say something like that? Like, who hears that and thinks, oh, well, I guess that's got gotta be true. Nobody thinks that.
It's nuts. So the knockoff jerseys you get on those foreign websites look better than these. So
I gotta be honest. I've been Googling this jersey all day. I don't really even see that big a difference. The small lettering. What the hell are you guys talking about?
Reminds me of a video
I'm gonna get the lettering out. Who cares?
Reminds me of a video game. If you're playing with a character in a video game, a baseball video game, it reminds me of the uniform they use in a digital game.
Maggie,
it looks horrible.
You got to support Rob Manfred. You guys are from the same part of the country.
Yeah, I'm not claiming Manfred. I do appreciate him speeding up the game, though. Thank you, Rob, for the pitch
One of the
clock.
things he did well.
Really appreciate it. Peter, thank you so much. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Coming up, we got some news. Starting quarterback inks, a little bit of a new deal yesterday, but will he actually be starting for his team when the season starts? We've got all the latest next. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Marching orders now. We need a Pete Bellotti versus Pierre Schwartz cage match. We'll work on the details of all of that, run that through HR a couple different ways.
We're not working on the details of how the cage is lowered into the ring.
No, we'll leave that. We'll leave that to never hearing about that ever again. But Pete as the heel and Schwartz, I guess, as the face. All right, we'll work on those details. Meanwhile, details. Geno Smith, speaking of details, he gets the $12 million of his guaranteed contract for next year, got picked up yesterday, Perloff. So on the surface, it looks like, okay, Seahawks get Geno. They have him for another year. And there's going to be another kick-in that's going to happen around the start of the league year, so about another $9 million. All told, Geno's going to be making about $21 million to be a starting quarterback in the league next year. I do not think Geno Smith will be collecting that check fully from the Seahawks. Mm-hmm. I believe that Geno Smith will actually be traded and will be starting for another team before the season starts.
Give me the situation where Geno would be a starter.
Well, I just want to give you the situation with Seattle, which is a team who has all these offensive weapons.
Right.
And the reason why they didn't make the playoffs this year was really because of the defense, right?
Yeah. Which is ironic because Pete Carroll's a defensive coach, right?
And a great coach, right? And a Hall of Fame coach. But Mike McDonald from the Baltimore Ravens has now come in to try to clean this up on the other side and on the defensive side. And I think that the Seahawks will use this opportunity to probably start over at quarterback.
Right.
And draft somebody thinking you can still can you make the playoffs with a rookie quarterback? I think you probably can.
Well, my point was Geno's going to be a bridge either here or somewhere else. Like if he goes to Atlanta, he's a bridge to a rookie. Like no one wants to build around Geno Smith at this point.
Well, just because of his age. I mean, Geno still has, I think, a lot in the tank because a lot of those years were on the bench. Like he's old in age. What is he, 33 or 34? But a lot of those years were spent holding a clipboard.
I don't think anyone says, I want Geno Smith for 5 years. I don't think that's in the conversation. I'd be surprised if there was a team that did not have a rookie or a young quarterback and went Geno Smith.
Listen, so Seattle picked 16th.
Right. They're he's a perfect bridge there. So they're going to draft J.J. McCarthy or somebody who's tied to Mike McDonald, 16. McDonald and his OC both are from the Harbaugh family. And Grubb, his OC, had Penix.
Washington.
They'll get a quarterback, and Geno's a perfect bridge. Why not?
Okay, because I think there's actually value here with Geno Smith. And I think that if you wanted to trade him to a team like the Pittsburgh Steelers, or if you want to trade him to a team like the Atlanta Falcons, or whatever, another team that's going to be in the mix for a quarterback, I think you actually get value as opposed to next year when Geno could leave and you're going to get absolutely nothing for him, right?
You wouldn't get a comp pick? I'm not sure.
Well, it depends on how much he signs for. Again, his salaries have not been huge.
But what would you get from him now? Who wants a $22 million 32-year-old quarterback who the current team doesn't want?
I think a lot of people
might. 5th round pick?
No, I think
6?
More. Especially if there's a training camp injury or something like that. I think Geno becomes the most valuable available quarterback. You can actually win games with Geno Smith.
Maybe we view Geno Smith. I think Geno Smith was really good in Seattle. I think that's the best fit for him. Atlanta has to start over quarterback. They're not going to go to a Geno Smith. I mean, you gotta find something here at quarterback. You got to build for the future. How long has it been since Matt Ryan retired? And Pittsburgh, I just don't see that marriage either. I mean, is that a huge upgrade to go from what they have now to Geno Smith? They're another team. They have to find a guy. And Geno Smith, I'm sorry, he's good, but he's not a guy.
Well, but here's the thing. If you're Seattle right now, you have a bit of a grace period because of all the changes that you've just made. So I think you start with a rookie quarterback. You try to get something for Geno. To pay $22 million for a starting QB is like nothing in this league.
I say Seattle keeps him, drafts J.J. McCarthy, who's very young, lets him sit for a year.
Coming up, we've got potential coaching news with the San Francisco 49ers. Who will they tab as a defensive coordinator? Got a thought for you. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
She once fell off a ski lift. He was called in for questioning. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Caitlin Clark made history last night. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. The phenom from Iowa is now the leading scorer in all of Division I women's basketball history. She also holds the record for the most assists. And Perloff, she did it in style last night. She broke the record on a 3 from the logo.
Yeah, I mean, come on. The other team should have saw that coming.
I like how she leans into the swag, too. I mean, she's very humble and always thanks her teammates and coaches and family and all of that. But she'll tell you, hey, I wouldn't have broken it any other way, you know?
Yeah.
She's got a charisma to her.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And she seems to understand the moment. That's the thing about her. And she doesn't shrink from the moment at all. Especially, I think back to last year's tournament. That's why I'm telling you right now, the women's tournament is so much above the men's tournament this year. It is going to be must watch. I think the ratings are going to be enormous, and obviously everyone wants Caitlin Clark to be there to either root for her or against her. It's just it has really been incredible for the sport.
Listen, I know there are stars on the men's side for college basketball, and the Zach Edey and the Filipowski. She's the biggest star in college basketball. Period,
that's what you got.
Full stop.
Zach Edey and Kyle Filipowski. Boy, yeah. I mean, when the best players are in the G League and Europe. I don't agree with that there are stars in men's college basketball. I'm not afraid to say it. There just are not.
So she now has the record. We're asking you on Twitter, though, can she be considered the greatest of all time if she never wins a title, if she never wins a championship? Now, again, she still has a chance. She's a senior right now. Iowa's ranked 4th in the country. Barring some crazy upset, I'm sure they'll be in the finals or at least in the Final Four at the very least. But can she be considered up there with the Diana Taurasi's and the Brianna Stewarts or men's or women's? Can you be considered the greatest of all time in basketball specifically? If you never win a title, you can go to Maggie and Perloff and vote.
You know, one question, how about her being more famous? Maybe not Taurasi, but does fame make her go higher up on the list? Because she's certainly, there's going to be more eyeballs on her in the tournament than any of those players, and it's not even going to be close.
Yeah, like contributions to the game, if you will.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Steph Curry's obviously won 4 titles, so this is not an apples to apples. But Steph Curry, if you ever want to call him the greatest player of all time, you'd have to bring in the game changerness of him, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Right, the deep threes, you know, the influence he's had on younger fans, and, you know, he's not 7 feet tall and what he's able to do. I think Caitlin Clark has to have the same conversation, right? She's giving hope. Now, Caitlin's 6 feet tall. Most women are not 6 feet tall. She does have genetic gifts, but I think she looks more attainable or inspires little kids to say, hey, I can shoot from the logo and I can make it because I'm not Brittany Griner, who's like, 6'11".
Yeah, you can't. She can't dunk. Like there are a few
Brittany's
players.
Brittany's not 6'11", by the way. She's like 6'5". But anyway.
Right, but she dunked in a game, didn't she?
Brittany, yeah.
Yeah. So
Lisa Leslie's dunked in a game.
I think that's really
Candace.
hard to model your game after. That's why everyone loves Steph Curry, because anybody can be Steph Curry. Unfortunately, it's kind of ruined basketball because I've played pickup where anybody under 30 just pulls up from half court and clanks it.
Yeah.
But no, I do agree. Impact of it. It's a great way to describe Curry. Curry's place in NBA history is special because he completely changed the game. I was talking with EJ before the show.
Yeah.
Somebody else is going to come change the game. Who's the next Steph Curry, Caitlin Clark? What's the next thing? Now that we know logo threes are a thing, the fact that she had a logo three, what are they going to invent next? Half-court threes?
I was going to say half-court, three-quarter court. I mean, again, we've disagreed on this in the past. This is a lot more of a hypothetical. Will we ever be in a moment in time where somebody's dunking from the three-point line? I know that sounds crazy, but look at Wemby. I mean, are we not getting closer to that than anything?
I don't know.
Maybe the half-court shots. I mean, Dame.
Wait, are they going to play with jetpacks when that happens?
I mean, okay. Listen, I'm not saying they do it naturally, but I'm just saying.
I think I did see the game this summer. It was called Slam Ball.
Yeah, I do love a good slam ball tournament.
Can Wemby dunk from the free throw line? I don't think so.
I'm just saying he has come into the NBA with a skill set that's unlike anything.
But then again, me and EJ had this big argument. No one's saying out there, I want to be like Wemby.
Well, he looks a little awkward.
No, he's 7'6". Nobody has that. There's no one who's ever going to be. He's Yao Ming with athleticism. There's nobody like that. Everybody thinks they could be Steph Curry. In my opinion, nobody says, "Oh man, I really want to play like Wemby."
No, see, I think you're missing the bar on this because it's not necessarily people are saying I want to be like Wemby. Nobody can be 7'4", but are we going to see other 7-footers who can handle, shoot threes, and do what he does? Yeah, that's going to happen. Because guess what? When we saw Kevin Garnett in 1995, we thought there's not going to be another 6'11" guy who can do what he does. And guess what? Then there were a bunch of them. Then when we saw Kevin Durant, there's not going to be another 6'10" small forward who can shoot threes and play. Then we saw another one. That is the evolution of the sport. So is it going to be 7'5"? No. But will they be 7'1", 7'2" guys who could do what Wemby does in 10, 15, 20 years? Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen.
I know. This is why I don't understand why you guys are poo-pooing my someone's going to dunk from the three-point line. You just made my point for me.
But by the way, he's not 7'4". You see him next to Joel Embiid. He's 6 inches taller than Joel Embiid. I mean,
he's 7'5".
It's all a lie. He's taller than he's saying. He's trying to contain his height.
He's gaming the system.
It's all a lie. Perloff has uncovered the conspiracy.
And also, by the way, there are a lot of 6'11", 7-footers who can hit threes. Kevin Durant didn't change the game to me. I totally disagree with that. He was an evolution of big man. He's not the first big man to move outside. He happens to have a better handle than ever 7-footer ever.
Right.
But the tall guys have been moving away from the basket for a decade before
Dirk,
KD.
I think, gets a lot
Dirk
of
is like
gets a lot of credit,
original.
but Dirk doesn't have the handle.
Yeah, no, but
the handle
the guard skills I'm talking about with Kevin Durant and to be able to shoot off the dribble from three, that we never saw from a guy Kevin Durant's size.
I think Wemby's closer to Kareem. Nobody ever said, I want to be like Kareem. Because you just knew you could not be Kareem. You can't be Shaq. No one's like, I'm going to be like Shaq.
Can I just broaden this out just to society, not even sports? If you had to choose, you can either be 7'5" or you can be 5'5". What would you choose? I got to go to the men on this one because women, our heights don't. This is very important to you guys. Would you rather be 7'5" or 5'5"? Think about your life. Think about being on an airplane. Think about living, riding a bicycle.
7'5", everything all customed.
Yeah, but what if you're not a millionaire? What if you just have to live in this world as 7'5"?
Wait, so I can't be an athlete?
No, you're just a regular person.
I would
give me 5'5".
No, 7'5". I would go find a job that would make me a millionaire.
Wait,
at 7'5".
But you can't be a professional athlete. I guess you could join the circus or something.
Yeah, and I'll be a millionaire.
Perloff, 7'5" or 5'5"?
I think being 7'5" and not in the NBA would be just the worst thing that could ever happen to anybody. So 5'5".
Yeah.
I mean, we played basketball with a 7-footer who didn't do anything, and it was every day. It's like, why weren't you better in college? Every day.
People say that to his face?
Oh my God. EJ, a tall guy on a pickup court. It's like, why? What's wrong with this dude?
Yeah, the guy on my high school team who was 6'6". And, we were like, you're a waste of height. Like, you should have gave that to us. Like, and I feel bad for him. Like,
I was 6'4", and I was kind of considered a waste of height.
You did play college basketball.
JV. I mean, it was closer to club. Believe me, in high school, I was not that good. And they're like, you're 6'4", you should be better. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm just not good.
Like, I'm 120 pounds soaking wet.
Yeah, I was. But if you ever see a 7-footer who's not in the NBA, it's a hard life. Because of that not being in the NBA.
I'd go do movies.
Be Chewbacca?
I go do the tall characters in movies.
Did you guys see the headline, by the way? Bill Walton tried out to be Chewbacca. So I think
that sounds like something invented out of an acid trip.
It's a very limited, Pete's like, I'd find a job. There's only 2 jobs. You could either be Chewbacca or an NBA player if you're 7'5". What else is there?
Can you sell insurance if you're 7'5"?
Well, look at Andre the Giant. Andre the Giant went and did movies.
Right, wrestler.
He did what was the one with Carrie Hughes?
The Princess Bride.
Princess Bride.
There's one Andre the Giant.
Right.
There's not a second one.
No, I'm just saying, like you go do entertainment.
I mean, Boban.
You go to SNL.
Yeah,
you go do
Boban.
stuff like that.
Co-host SNL. That's easy to do.
Well, Boban, he's been John Wick. He's been doing
but he's in the NBA. I'm saying you don't have any coordination. You don't have that athleticism.
Right, but I think Boban could have been in these movies and not been in the NBA.
Well, no. But is there ever been a 7'5" guy who wasn't in the NBA? Is that a thing?
I'm sure there
has to be.
In the world. I'm sure.
Has to be.
I've never seen one.
We know.
I think if you're 7'5", you're in the NBA. I mean, you're Yao Ming.
But or Taco Fall or someone like that. But
yeah.
I mean,
there's no way Taco Fall was not going to be a basketball player.
There are guys who play college but then don't make it in the NBA who are 7'5". Are you saying just like don't play any basketball?
Find me a college guy who was 7'5" who didn't make the NBA.
There was a guy who I really truly don't mean to like make light of it, but I think he had his foot amputated because he had all these health issues. He played that I think at UNC Asheville.
Okay.
He was 7'5", like 350 pounds.
The guy they found who was like in India, I think. Are we talking about the same person? He was
that.
Huge.
There was that guy too.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm talking about. But that guy also, another guy. Like there are guys who don't make the NBA who are
think about it.
7'5".
There's billions of people in the world. Someone's going to be 7'5". But for our hypothetical, you can't be an athlete. Would you rather be 7'5" or 5'5"? And you just have to be a regular person who's just trying to have a job, have a life, have a family.
Kenny George. I'd never forget Kenny George. Yes, he was 7'7". He played at UNC Asheville. I believe he took them to the tournament 1 year, but he never went to the NBA. Now, again, he got his foot amputated, so maybe that was part of the reason why.
You think so?
Right.
Part of the reason?
No, but I'm saying, like, I think
That
even
contributed.
when he was playing, though, he wasn't considered like, oh, this guy's going to be an NBA prospect.
Yeah.
He was just like a guy who was huge.
Draft cons, 1 foot. Pro, 7'7". What? I mean, you know how the NBA,
What a profile.
everybody who's drafted is about to be the greatest superstar ever. They would have trouble with that.
Okay, so you're welcome. Maybe we should put that on the poll too. You got to be a regular person going through life. Would you rather be 7'5" or 5'5" as a man? Women's a little different. Okay, so the San Francisco 49ers, Perloff, still making some headlines even days after losing the Super Bowl in overtime to the Kansas City Chiefs. They fire defensive coordinator Steve Wilks. Whether that was right move, whether that was a bit of a scapegoat move, now we're trying to fill this role here for the 49ers, who are already the odds-on favorite to win the title next year. Yet they don't have a defensive coordinator. Forget Bill Belichick, forget Pete Carroll, forget Mike Vrabel. I don't think any of those former head coaches are taking this job. The one name that has now risen to the top is Brandon Staley. Would this make the 49ers defense better than Steve Wilks?
Yes, I did not like Steve Wilks. So, listen, Brandon Staley was not a good head coach. He was the most aggressive fourth down coach ever, then became the least aggressive, and no one even knew what he was doing. Right. By the end, he was just purely guessing. And he got nothing out of that Chargers defense, but they were hurt all the time. I just want something different. Just because you're a terrible head coach does not mean you can't be a great defensive coordinator. So remember Brandon Staley was like the hot young guy, with
the Rams.
Yeah, he was Vic Fangio's chosen one. Now the problem is everyone who's Vic Fangio's chosen one usually ends up disappointing. They're not Vic Fangio is great. All his assistants have not been great, but I would be excited. I would not be worried about all the downside that you saw with the Chargers with him as a defense coordinator. I'd be very interested in this.
Well, my question is he a great communicator? Because I don't know if he got that reputation when he was the head coach of the Chargers, and I think that was one of the things maybe that led to Steve Wilks and the parting of the ways after the Super Bowl, was that he had to come down from the booth because, Fred Warner and other guys were wanted more face-to-face contact with him during the games. Does he even run this defense in the same kind of way? I don't know. I don't think you just say, all right, anyone but Steve Wilks and this defense is all of a sudden going to be better. Again, I thought that Steve Wilks really made a case to actually return as the defensive coordinator. Even if there were some personality conflicts, those things get ironed out all the time once you get a second season under your belt. And I know that, Kyle Shanahan had to burn a timeout in the Super Bowl because he didn't like the defensive alignment. I know that there were issues. But you don't think that things can get better? I mean, Kyle Shanahan's offense wasn't exactly gangbusters in that Super Bowl either, and nobody's saying Kyle Shanahan should be fired because he couldn't get Debo the ball and couldn't get Kittle the ball and couldn't get Brandon Ayuk the ball.
Yeah. all that's true. I just remember Lions receivers running wide open like crazy, like a 7-on-7 game.
Well, that was the first half, though. They tightened it up in the second half, and they won the game.
Yeah, but I mean, first of all, even on a key play in the second half, the Lions scheme, Josh Reynolds wide open would have been a 50-yard gain, and the Niners linebackers looked like they had no idea what was going on. He just happened to drop the ball. When the Lions needed to turn it on at the end, they started getting churning again. I just don't think that Niners defense was scary at all. And towards the end, early in the season, they were. That game against the Cowboys was really impressive.
Yeah.
But they got worse. You can't ignore the fact that they statistically got worse and worse and worse as the year went on. And they did let up 455 yards in the Super Bowl. It's not like at the end when Kansas City wanted to turn it on, they had any problems.
Okay, but I mean, the Philadelphia Eagles let up a lot of yards to the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl, and Jonathan Gannon got a head coaching job.
That was a huge mistake.
Okay, well, I mean, I'm
Everybody
just saying.
in Philadelphia knew that. They're like, oh, man, don't do bend, don't break Jonathan Gannon. And that's really, to me, it's a matter of style. I felt like Wilkes was a little bendy, don't break.
Okay, but I'm just saying
I want Rex Ryan or I want an aggressive with that defense. I want that defense to win games single-handedly. And I think the Niners stood back and said, all right, our offense is great. We're going to let them win. I want more aggression in that head coaching position, like D'Amico Ryans.
I just wonder if you're already sort of feeling probably disappointed, clearly disappointed if you're a Niner fan that you just lost the Super Bowl in overtime. Now Brandon Staley, the guy who, at least reputationally, is like as low, like bottom of the barrel. Dude got fired. I mean, the team quit on him at the Chargers. Like, this is not the great headline. If indeed it is Staley, this would not be the headline that would make me think, oh, okay, now things are going to get better. I mean, Brandon Staley is, let's be honest, he's a bit of a punchline right now.
Yeah, but I mean, what is Steve Wilkes? I mean, his record is 200% better than Steve Wilkes' record as a head coach.
No, but Wilkes at least got a horribly raw deal from the Arizona Cardinals, got another raw deal from the Carolina Panthers. You could make the case that he should have been the head coach, and they hired Frank Reich and fired him, 11 games into the season? I think Steve Wilkes had a better reputation.
Well, Steve Wilkes was 9-19 as a head coach. I just think that...
Again, the Arizona Cardinals with Josh Rosen for 1 year, and then he gets railroaded in Carolina.
I don't even see why this is a topic. You had the number one defense in the league, and you fell to number 8.
Do you think Brandon Staley gets him back to number 1?
I think he gets above 8, yes. And honestly, I'm not even giving him credit. If those defensive stars stay healthy, yeah, everyone was hurt. If those defensive stars stay healthy, even Brandon Staley can coach this year. There is no reason the Niners are not a top 5 defense.
I would never put my eggs in the Brandon Staley basket for anything. Like, that guy was a horrendous NFL head coach. He was only a defensive coordinator one time in his life.
Yeah.
We're basing anything on Brandon Staley being a good defensive coach on one season where he had Aaron Donald in the prime of his career.
Right.
What do you think that I could have been calling those plays and they would have been a great defense?
And Ramsey.
And
Don't
then
forget Jalen Ramsey, too.
Right. And then he goes to the Chargers, and they were begging him to stop calling defensive plays. They were so terrible this year. Every press conference was, so when are you going to stop calling plays? So when are you going to stop calling plays? Or are you going to give up plays up to the point where he wanted to fight the press? And now he's going to get to coach a team that went to the Super Bowl?
Well, we don't know. He hasn't gotten the job yet, but that's one of the names
ridiculous.
out there.
Show bet.
Yes.
I guarantee the Niners rank higher on defense next year.
With Brandon Staley or just with anybody?
With Brandon Staley. Or with anybody. And I don't think if it's not Staley, it's going to be the same thing.
If they don't make a significant defensive upgrade, then I'll take you on that.
Yeah, I mean, if they stay healthy on that front line and that front line actually starts to play at all, even shows up even the slightest bit, they're going to definitely improve.
Wait, hold on. We've got a lot of things cooking now on this Friday where we have what has been now introduced to the show has got to be our number one priority, hands down, no questions asked. Pete Bellotti versus Pierre Schwartz in a cage match. First of all, where do we get a cage? Does it have to be a regulation cage?
It's just called WWE, 1-800-WWE.
Yeah.
We've been asking for a lot lately.
We have, and they've been delivering for us, so appreciate that.
To be fair, yeah.
But
they need some content at WrestleMania. Come on.
I don't know if we can ask for the cage.
I feel like there are enough indie promotions in the area that do steel cages that we could make this happen.
We could just do a regular match too.
I was thinking about that. I can line up for us. That I know a couple gyms in the area where I can get us a little maybe VIP treatment at like one of the MMA gyms around here.
I feel like both Pete and Pierre should have some kind of valet. They should have to choose somebody from CBS Sports Radio or Fan to bring them out as their manager. And Maggie's already volunteering to be
I could be your Paul Heyman
manager.
Who? Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bilotti. Yes, you.
Okay.
What, Pierre Schwartz?
All right,
No,
all
I'm
right.
rolling with you.
Well, I know how entertaining he is, so I figured you were going to go for Pierre.
You and I watching Weekend at Bernie's too. Ride or die.
That's right. Okay, I'll take it for sure.
But Pete's working heel.
Yeah, I
so
don't
are you
want
able to be a
Pete,
heel
though.
manager, though,
Yes,
Maggie?
I am. I've been waiting my whole life for this. All right. We got to get some kind of wrestling match. Peter Schwartz, a.k.a. Pierre Schwartz, against people like
I'm not managing Schwartz. That's not happening.
Well, maybe he'll pick someone else.
Yeah. Wait, can I sub Schwartz out and have a
No.
surprise?
Absolutely not. Maybe we'll find another job for you, Perloff.
Oh, special guest referee.
That is right
I
up
could do
your
that.
alley.
So, EJ, could you manage Schwartz?
Oh, man. I wouldn't be commentary. That's what I'm going to do. I'll be Michael Cole or Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Emerson Boozer is going to manage Schwartz, or a former Jet. Any former Jet will manage.
All right.
I feel like I feel like there are people here who could manage Schwartz. I saw Ryan Botcher earlier. I think he'd be a good manager.
Ryan's like the quietest person in the office.
but he's also like the nicest person. If
Very
he's working
politically savvy.
babyface,
Yeah.
he's working babyface. He could probably make it work.
I think Schwartz and Ryan Botcher is a good team. He's
Wait
the
a
only
minute.
one who could handle him here.
I do love Ryan, but I mean, again, he's not going to have. We've got to really coach him up on the mic skills. He's good on the show. Don't get me wrong.
You got Bogus too.
Bogish.
Bogish.
Bogish would do it just to go against Bilotti.
He would.
That would be the second match.
Bogus is the only one I know here who's angrier than you, Pete. That
Wait.
might be interesting.
Let's call Bogish right now in Cancun. It's got to be 6:20 in the morning. I'm sure he won't mind. Just keep calling him over and over and over
He
again
just
until
listened
he
to
picks
Dave
up.
Matthews for 4 hours last night, having a rager.
Pick up. Oh, you're not there. Bye.
Dave Matthews still on his third encore on a song that sounds exactly like all the other songs.
Doing
he's
that
been
weird
singing.
dance too. With his arms.
How do you do 3 days of Dave Matthews? It's all the same song. Anyway, 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. All right, cage match. Pierre Schwartz against Pete Bilotti. Yes.
That's right. Let's go.
Coming up, we check in on one of our favorite characters in sports and coaches next. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Do you believe that? DEION. You believe that?
Wow, it's been a while, Maggie, since we had a Daily DEION. Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. What is DEION up to these days?
Okay, so we've got our daily DEION. We check in on Coach Prime. He was talking to, a podcast, Young Money Radio. He was detailing what the Colorado Buffaloes spring game is going to look like. They're making some changes, and it's now going to be a whole spring weekend. Here's DEION.
So for our spring game, we're doing a whole prime weekend.
Okay.
We having a fashion show Thursday, something for the boosters on Friday, and the game on Saturday. We're doing an after party.
Yeah.
You know, white, black, and Hispanic DJs.
Okay.
We're gonna cover everybody. After the game, we're doing something with the alumni, but also maybe at halftime of the game or right at the end of the game on the rooftop.
Yeah.
We're gonna have somebody.
It's going down.
It's going down.
Okay. Oh, it's going up because it's on the rooftop.
Yeah, but we may cut that into the game.
Okay.
So that could be seen within millions of viewers.
Wow. He's talking to Lil Wayne, by the way. So maybe you should ask Lil Wayne if he can perform at halftime. So this is no longer just a spring game like colleges do. It's a fashion show.
Yeah.
Something for the boosters on Friday, he said. Saturday spring game that's also going to feature a musical halftime show.
So there's two things about this. It is smart. Obviously, he's drumming up NIL money, which is great. It's going to make the team better. But once again, this all sounds great unless you lose. And I think that he has a way of amping up the pressure in a way. He has the best quarterback in the country probably next year with Shedeur Sanders, has all this hype and a much easier schedule. So you know how sports is. He's just, in a way, setting up one of the great, flashiest seasons of all time or setting up a major disappointment.
Well, right now, I believe the win total for Colorado is only 5.5.
Is it only 5.5?
I believe the latest was 5.5. You might want to double check me on that. So that's not even a slam dunk that they'll make a bowl, let alone win the Big 12. And that's interesting to me because of all the upgrades that Colorado made in the transfer portal. But anyway, so yeah, fashion show. And also a halftime show for the spring game. Does everyone else have to follow suit now? Is this like a copycat thing where now Alabama's got to have a
Have you seen anybody try?
Has
Has anyone tried to copy DEION?
Yeah, it'd be a dumb idea.
like kind of as a player, nobody tried to be Deion. Well, maybe a couple guys sidestepped a little bit in the end zone, but you couldn't be Deion.
No, that was more of a tribute than it was.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he actually could do things that no one ever did as a player, and now I think he's doing things as a coach that no one else can do.
That's pretty wild. Who do you think the fashion show is going to be? Who knows? It could be anybody.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, before his troubles, I would have said it would have been Ye, but not now.
No, I don't think that's going to be no.
Yeah.
But there you go.
Yeah.
That's your Daily Deion.
Maybe a little Ralph Lauren, maybe.
I was going to say something that feels like Colorado, Boulder. That's, more of a outdoorsy look.
Yeah.
Like polo.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Someone
I'm excited.
walk around from Field and Stream.
What's that? From Field and Stream magazine, yeah.
Someone walk around. Just walk around.
How do you think that new house that his kids bought him, how do you think they're doing in there?
I'm sure they're having a great time.
Again, we said the last thing you'd ever want your 22-year-old kid to buy you is a home.
You guys said it. I didn't.
Pete loves it.
I'm sorry, you liked it.
Yeah, I like it too.
Just the aesthetic, though. Like a 22-year-old is not going to have the same taste as Deion Sanders.
But see, you say that, but Deion Sanders is such a young soul, and he's so flashy. I actually feel like if there was any, how old he is, 55-year-old man, that kids could buy him a gift that he would enjoy, I feel like Deion is the person.
It's not like they're giving him a place that has no plumbing and no electricity.
No. You think Deion's hit middle age.
Yeah.
I watch him. He's become like LeBron. He's like on his couch watching his kids. I think he's changed. I saw an interview with him and Dan Patrick about a month ago, and he is definitely calmed down. You remember young Deion. He was so full of energy. I think he's chilling a little. You think he's still...
He likes comparing himself. I'm sorry to jump in. He likes comparing himself now to Nick Saban.
Yeah, I think I've seen a different Deion, a more mature Deion.
He just said there's going to be a fashion show and somebody on a rooftop at a spring game. This is prime time, Perloff.
I understand what you're saying.
Good point. Great point, EJ.
I honestly,
Game, set, match.
I think he comes home now and turns on Netflix like Nick Saban and watches a Turkish documentary. Sure. I think in reality, he's holding on to try and be young. I don't know. I think he's closer to me than young you, EJ. I'm
going to
sorry.
tell you, I want to go to that spring game now. Quickly before we get to Peter Schwartz's update, Pierre Schwartz, his new alter ego. Stuart is in North Carolina. Want to weigh in on the 49ers changing defensive coordinators after their Super Bowl loss. Hey, Stuart, how are you?
Hi. Good show as always. So I'd like to defend Steve Wilks. And number one, there's a lot of people here in North Carolina that thought he should have been hired instead of Frank Reich.
Of course.
When he took over the dumpster fire that was Matt Rule, they went 6-6 with Sam Darnold as his quarterback. He's the only NFL coach that's been able to get Sam Darnold to play like an NFL quarterback. And they played some of those games with all of their defensive backfield hurt. And they went 500 in the 12 games he coached. And one other thing, Perloff, on your bet about where the defense ranks, I looked it up before I called. San Francisco gave up the second fewest touchdowns in the NFL and the third fewest points. I think that's a lot better judge of a defense than the fact they gave up 8 more yards a game than like the fourth-ranked defense. So I think saying they were ranked 8th is a little bit misleading. And that's all. Good show.
Thank you, Stuart. Yeah, it was third overall in points allowed. They did fall off, though, in the rush defense where they were 26 in rushing yards allowed. Yeah. But I'm going to agree with Stuart on that one. I mean, they were good at holding their opponents.
Yeah, I mean, overall defense, they were top 5 every year since 2018, and they invested a ton last offseason. They should have. Not getting better after you add Javon Hargrave makes no sense. To get worse, especially up front. And then you added Chase Young. I think Chase Young kind of hurt that team in the sense that when you see this former number 2 overall pick not giving 100% effort, I don't know. Something about San Francisco looked off to me. You guys, I totally don't understand why you thought that defense was impressive.
No, I just would love to watch that Super Bowl, and if Dre Greenlaw never gets hurt, and if Kyle Shanahan defers in overtime and they win the game, you are not firing Steve Wilks.
He had those bad playoff games and you had the bad Ravens game where the Niners still outgained them. I personally, watching them play defense here, just don't remember 5, 6, 7 games where they were just being gashed. They went on a 3-game losing streak, and besides the Cincinnati game, they never gave up more than 22 points.
But look at who they were. Who were the quarterbacks in those games?
Right, but they still played good defense.
I mean, they
didn't lose because of the defense. They lost because their offense couldn't do anything.
I don't even know who was the Vikings quarterback.
No, it was Cousins
played. They played
there.
Cousins
and
there.
it was Joe Burrow.
Right.
Oh, it was
Joe
Burrow.
Burrow. Yeah, and and they got lit up in that game. But it's Joe Burrow. And then we're talking about Patrick Mahomes, and you only gave up 1 touchdown in regulation. Okay, the Lions, they scored a lot of points. That's a great offense. Like, I don't like it feels like the needle that we're asking Stevie Wilkes to thread in terms of how great they have to be is so fine. And look, maybe they deserve that because they have great players. I just don't see how then, okay, you fire him. If you told me you were going to get Belichick or Vrabel, I'd say, all right, well, how much can I really complain about that? The Chargers were begging Brandon Staley to stop calling defensive plays. Begging him.
Well, we don't know if Staley's going to get hired. That's just...
I'm just saying, if that's the guy they're looking at, and that's the reason why they're doing this, that's crazy to me.
Why are you guys defend? Who cares about the Niners? This will be their 4th defensive coordinator in how many years?
Well, the other guys keep getting hired as head coaches, so it's a little different.
I don't know. It just strikes me as funny to stand on a hill for Steve Wilkes when it was clearly, to me, it was clearly a disappointing year for the Niners.
Well, I think the issue, I think, is this is a man who it feels like he keeps getting the short end of the stick.
Right.
He goes to Arizona, and he has to deal with that disaster, and they blamed it all on him for some reason, and in 1 year he's gone. Then he goes to Carolina. He's coaching for one of the worst coaches in the NFL we've had in the last 20 years, and he actually turns that thing around when he he coaches the team the rest of the way, and he gets passed over for Frank Reich. Then he goes to the 49ers. He takes the team to the Super Bowl, a place where they weren't the year before, and then he gets fired. I think that's the issue. It's just like,
and again, not all of that is Shanahan, though. Like, these things happen and these bad breaks happen for him before. It's just the cumulative body. Let's get to Peter Schwartz, a.k.a. Pierre Schwartz, with the headlines.
I think we can come up with a better wrestling name.
We like Pierre around here.
I like Pierre, too.
No.
It's like choosing your nickname. Sometimes you don't get to choose it. Sometimes it's chosen
like
for you.
the creative team gets to pick it, right?
You're talking to the creative team.
Yeah, I think the creative team needs to meet a little bit more. I think
what would you like to be called?
The Hebrew Hammer.
Well, we already have one of those.
Right, we do?
Yeah, wasn't that Hank Goldberg? Wasn't he the Hebrew Hammer? Or was it
not
Ryan?
Hank Goldberg.
No, was it Ryan
Bill
Braun?
Goldberg, right? Or what's Goldberg's first name? Not Hank.
No, not the WWE star, the baseball player.
Ryan Braun was the Hebrew Hammer?
I think Ryan Braun was the Hebrew Hammer. We've already had one.
Or you say Hank Greenberg?
Hank Greenberg, sorry.
Yeah, he might have been called that.
Yeah. We
There's
come
a
up
phone
with
called the
something
Hebrew
good.
Hammer. I don't. Yeah.
Did Goldberg ever call?
Adam Goldberg was a Hebrew Hammer in a movie.
Got it.
That's, I think, where we're
Bill
getting
Goldberg?
What was Goldberg's first name?
Bill.
Bill,
Played
right.
for the Falcons.
Yes.
Wait, was Ryan Braun also not the Hebrew Hammer?
He could have been.
I thought he was.
I called him that.
Yeah.
Until he got caught doing PDs.
You and everyone else called him that.
My favorite thing, you guys ever watch the Dodgers when Sean Green was there?
Yeah.
Every time he came up, Vin Scully would run down all 11 to 15 Jewish players in the league. He'd be like, well, Brad Alsmith is also Jewish.
Alex Bregman at the bar mitzvah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And remember, Sandy Koufax would not pitch on Yom Kippur.
Yeah, is that your Vin Scully impersonation?
Yeah, it's not very good.
All right, who else you got besides Hebrew Hammer Schwartz? That's it?
That was what came to my mind when I heard Pierre.
You think if you went to Triple H and you said, I got one idea, and he said, okay, I don't like that, what's the next one? And then you had nothing, he would probably cut you from NXT.
Yeah. Well,
Come on,
I had
Peter.
my heart set on that. But
Whose creative team needs to start meeting more now?
yeah, right.
Triple H and Shawn Michaels
I'll have
would
my
not like
people
this.
get together. We'll come up with something that I think will be beneficial to everybody.
For now, Pierre.
There is a new NCAA women's all-time scoring champion, and it's Iowa star Caitlin Clark, who passed Kelsey Plum last night, scoring a career-high 49 points in Iowa's 106-89 win over Michigan. She broke the record with a three-pointer from the logo.
Well, I thought about doing it a couple possessions earlier, but I was a little tired, so I needed to catch my breath a little bit. But yeah, I think I kind of stepped back to my left a little bit and was able to get it off and went in and then celebrated. And I honestly thought Coach Butter was going to call the timeout before I had to go play defense, but she didn't, so I had to go play defense.
You know you're really good when you can pick and choose when you want to make history.
Yes, and she had to do it with a 3.
Yeah.
From the logo was just a little chef's kiss on the top.
There you go. She now has a career amount of points, 3,569. On the men's side, last night, number 2 seed Purdue over Minnesota, 84-76. NBA in Salt Lake City, Klay Thompson, 35 points off the bench. Warriors beat the Jazz 140-137. Head coach Steve Kerr explaining why Klay came off the bench.
I've been thinking about it, and the lineup with Brandon out there with Wiggs, J.K., Draymond, Steph, it's been by far our best lineup. And BP connects the game. He rebounds. He does some things that really help the other guys.
It was the first time Thompson came off the bench since his rookie season in 2012.
We got some more nicknames for you from the chat. YouTube.com/CBS Sports Radio, Twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio. Peter Schwartz's wrestling name. He doesn't like Pierre. And we had to go back to the drawing board.
And he stole Ryan Braun's name.
Yeah. Spencer says Schwartz Island. A little nod to your love of the Jets. Pierre. With Revis Island. And Haystacks Schwartz. Was Haystacks a different wrestler?
Haystacks Calhoun.
Yeah. I don't know who that is, so I don't know why you're laughing, but Haystacks Schwartz. Overalls, I'm assuming. Your name's Haystacks?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know anything. I might have just walked into a really bad joke.
I mean, what?
No, just he was one of the bigger wrestlers there was.
Yeah.
Oh, got it. Okay. Well, that's Spencer, not me. I didn't know who it is.
How about the George the Animal Steel? Actually, I thought Bilotti has a little George the Animal Steel in him.
I'm Pete the Body.
Yeah, Pete the Body.
He's already got his.
But
he's already got his.
Could you eat a turnbuckle?
I could eat anything, really, to be honest.
Because you do look just a little bit like him.
I look like him?
Like George the Animal Steel.
You're the Animal Schwartz.
Or a little King Kong
Wait, do you take offense to that? He was.
No, I love George the Animal Steel. I just don't get the resemblance.
Well, I'm looking it up because I don't know who you guys are talking about.
You know, the professor, George the Animal Steel?
He was a phys ed teacher, wasn't he?
No, I think he was a college professor.
Are you this Harry?
Teacher. He was an English teacher.
That.
Well,
this guy's Harry.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's why they call him the animal?
Yeah.
He had all that body hair?
No.
I think he was definitely in education.
Yes, he was in education.
I thought he was an English professor. But which is ironic. He didn't even speak English in the ring. Like he just ate the turnbuckle. Yeah. And grunted.
And like in real life, he was like a Shakespeare professor?
Yes, he was. There's no one who was further from their character than George Steele.
See, I'm thinking King Kong Bundy more of a
King Kong Bundy. Yes. Yes.
King Kong Schwartz.
He always went to the 5 count.
No, Bilotti looks like King Kong Bundy.
I am not King Kong Bundy.
Well,
King
just
Kong Bundy.
Bald. I mean.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they're both bald.
King Kong Bundy at WrestleMania 1 beat S.C. Jones at a record 9 seconds.
9
Even
seconds.
though it was like 45 seconds.
Yeah, they said 9 seconds.
Really? That is one of the greatest. You're kidding me. That wasn't 9 seconds?
No, they said 9 seconds, but if you go back and watch the tape, it was actually like 40 seconds.
Oh, my God. That's an urban legend, then?
There's a story, I think, that someone screwed up in that match. I think S.D. Jones screwed up in that match. He was supposed to, take a fall quick. And it was supposed to be 9 seconds.
King Kong Bundy looks like cousin Ed. This is not. I don't think. Well, I mean, you're not.
King Kong Bundy, by the way, also in movies. Wasn't he in Stir Crazy?
He was on Married with Children.
Yeah, King Kong Bundy had a huge career. SD. Everyone here knows. Do you know what SD stand for?
No.
Special Delivery Jones.
He was from Antigua in the West Indies.
You didn't really have to try as hard with your nicknames back then.
I was at a card once where he wrestled twice because somebody didn't show up.
And he lost
both
times.
We're waiting. There was another match that was coming up. He had already wrestled like one of the first couple of matches, and somebody didn't show up. And here comes S.D. Jones coming back to the ring, and welcome back for his second match of the evening. Everyone's favorite, S.D. Jones. I'm like, wait, we already saw him tonight.
This is like when the next host gets stuck in traffic or something. Then you got to go on and start off with the next. I'm sorry, Peter. We're going to have to get to the rest of the headlines later because we've got to take a break. Coming up next, we're going to do something really, really fun in honor of NBA All-Star Weekend coming up. We're going to do an all-time slam dunk draft. Who would we have as our slam dunk in the slam dunk contest? We're going to do a draft here. We've got highlights. We've got everything. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining.
Okay, I have a read here from somebody emailed me. Now we have G Leaguers again. What a great image.
Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Famous clip, Vince Carter winning the dunk contest. He looks in the camera. It's over. He does the throat slash there. This is one of Perloff's all-time favorite players.
Oh.
Partly because of the dunk contest, but mostly because of the in-game dunks.
No, I can't separate. No. I can't separate the two. They're all awesome. The dude did dunk in regular games like he was in a dunk contest. But I remember I was so fired up for that dunk contest. Going back to North Carolina, I've been a huge Vince Carter fan. That's my kind of player. Zach LaVine, Vince Carter, just high-flying dunk contest kind of players. I actually loved watching Blake Griffin play, even though he's, I think, overall a bit of a disappointment for a number one pick. So that's my kind of guy. I love just fly, cock your arm back and dunk the ball. I don't need to see any kind of fundamental basketball.
Or titles.
Titles, no.
Okay.
Not interesting to me at all.
Don't need championships.
But the thing is, the dunk contest used to have them both. You used to have Michael Jordan in there. You used to have Kobe Bryant in there. Now, thanks to your guy, LeBron James, the great players have want nothing to do with it. That's one of the big disappointments.
I don't know if it's just LeBron.
It's LeBron. If
I
LeBron did one, then John Morant would do it. Zion would do it. They follow LeBron.
Listen, I think that the actual entity that could really apply pressure for these guys to do these dunk contests are the shoe companies. The shoe companies kind of shadow run the NBA anyway, along with agents. And if the shoe companies really wanted LeBron, if Nike really wanted LeBron to do it, I'm sure they would have found a way for him to do it. And I think that's who really applies the pressure, because look at what Michael Jordan in the dunk contest did for Jordan Brand.
I don't know. Is LeBron so big, though, that he can't be pushed around by the shoe company? At this point, probably.
I think everybody gets influenced by the shoe companies. I believe that's their influence. So we're going to do something. We're actually going to do it a little bit later because we ran out of time a little bit. We're going to do an NBA dunk contest draft where we all get to draft an all-time great dunk contest team, and we got all the highlights and all that stuff. So we're excited about that. We'll do that coming up in the next hour. Sean is in Oregon. Good morning, Sean.
Morning, you guys.
How you doing?
You know, I got a beef with this dunk contest, mostly the NBA, for putting G Leaguers in the dunk contest.
Oh, we love Mac McClung, Sean.
Yeah, I'm with Sean. He was a
McClung is great.
It's weak.
It's a star-driven league, and he's not a star. Major League Baseball wouldn't put a minor leaguer in the home run derby.
Well, they might if it was someone
that.
who was like so amazing and awesome. Like McClung is a very unique case here. And are you not entertained when the guy's dunking? Do you care that he's not in the league when he's out there doing his thing?
I do.
Yeah, this ain't a street league dunk contest. This is the NBA.
What's the difference?
Game up.
Sean, I can hear the passion in your voice. Thank you so much for the time. You agree here?
I 100% agree. I mean, it's embarrassing. The NBA has G League players in the dunk contest. It used to be Jordan versus Neek.
Okay, but hold on. When you're actually watching Mac McClung last year, wasn't that exciting?
It was okay. It wasn't. Honestly.
It was not? He won.
It was okay. And first of all, his dunks were good, but they weren't like Zach LaVine versus Aaron Gordon.
Okay, but that was a while ago.
Right. I mean, that's also putting it into the greatest dunk contest ever.
Yeah, I don't know about that either, but
it was one of the top 2 or 3 dunk contests ever. You're putting it at that. I mean, it doesn't have to be that great to be entertaining.
Well, I mean, there was 40 years of dunk contests. Of course, you're going to pick one from 3.5 years ago. I just think that maybe that's a little recency bias.
Well, I mean,
Aaron Gordon versus Zach LaVine in Toronto, that's a legendary.
The dunk contest used to be so huge. It was like a defining moment.
Yeah.
And it's not, even when Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon got to it, it was sort of on life support. So it wasn't great. It was an all-timer, and they went back and forth. But I'm not sure it had the same gravitas that it used to have because Jordan used to be in it.
Didn't Brent Barry win one? I mean, what kind of...
1996.
What are we talking about here? I don't think that this is a recency bias thing. I think that this is the question you have to ask yourself with the dunk contest. When you're watching it, are you entertained? Stop thinking about who could have been in there.
Definitely
and
not.
What could have been. I was entertained by Mac McClung last year.
I am definitely not entertained like I used to be. Give me Isaiah Ryder, give me D Brown, and give me something different.
What? You just did Isaiah Ryder and D Brown, and I just told
give
you
me
Zach
Harold
LaVine,
Miner
Aaron
go
Gordon,
baseball.
that was okay.
These guys are not, but those guys
young,
weren't
exciting
all-time
stars. Not Mac McClung versus was your guy Jacob Toppin here? Come on, these guys who were actually first round picks who played were in it all the time. Like if it was the old days, like Jalen Green would be in it this year. In the old days, somebody who can literally fly. Now they don't even consider it. These young first round picks.
I know, but it's not like D Brown and Isaiah Ryder had these all-time great careers. They weren't Jordan. And
I mean,
Dominique.
At least they scored 20 points a game at a certain point in their NBA careers. I mean, that none of these guys are scoring 2 points a game at most.
Well, Jaylen Brown's in it this year. And Jaime Jaquez is in it. He's a rookie and he's exciting. And Jacob Toppin, I know Obi is a great dunker, so we'll see if his brother is also. And here's the thing about McClung. It's not like they do this all the time. It's not like Skip to My Lou was doing the, maybe Skip to My Lou was. It's not like they had all these, and one mixtape guys who are coming in to take over All-Star break all the time. It's a one-off. It's an outlier. He has this particular skill. I think it's cool.
I just think that we get to a point where we say, okay, the dunk contest is bad because guys are missing dunks and not doing them well. Say, well, we need guys who make dunks. Well, Mac McClung knows how to dunk. Like, he's a great dunker.
Right.
So then he does a great dunk contest, and you say, well, he's not a star. It's like, well, what do you want?
You really think that you guys are on an island. You like the way the dunk contest is now compared to before?
No, we're saying
Dwight Howard did the dunk contest.
Right.
Blake Griffin did the dunk
Donovan
contest.
Mitchell won the dunk contest in 2018.
I just say Mac McClung against Jaime Jaquez Jr. is not what it used to be. Let's face it.
Coming up, we're playing quarterback matchmaker. You're welcome to weigh in, by the way. 855-212-4CBS. QB matchmaker comes your way next. We'll do our NBA dunk contest draft in a little bit. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He thinks Frisbee golf is the sport of the future. She's sticking with football. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
All about Caitlin Clark today, Perloff. She becomes the all-time leading scorer in women's Division I history. She does it with flair and style, the deep threes, and she broke the record on a three-pointer from the logo.
Yeah, I feel like this is awesome, but it's the prelude to what's coming up in March because all eyes are really going to be on her come tournament. This has to be the most exciting women's tournament in forever because they're the number 4 team, Iowa. Can she do it? Can she get over that hump to be a champion?
Yeah, and I think that's an important part of the story. I mean, she is already shattering records in terms of television ratings, or she's helping to shatter records. She's filling 50,000 seat arenas. The tickets on the secondary market are insane. She's like a phenom beyond just being an all-time great basketball player. However, if you do want to put any basketball player, I think, in the conversation about the greatest of all time, I think they have to have won a title. And whether that's fair or not, because how basketball is, where one player can really have the most influence determining the outcome of a game, to not have a title, I think, would be something missing on her resume, and that would not put her above Diana Taurasi or put her above a Breanna Stewart or above a Cheryl Miller even, or a Candace Parker.
Yeah, I think that she falls into the Steph Curry game changer category, as you mentioned earlier in the show. Bo Jackson, Larry Bird never won a title. There's just certain situations, especially in college sport, because it's such a small window. You only have 4 years,
right,
where you could take an underdog and become super famous even if you don't win at all.
EJ, do we have some poll results? So we put it out there and asked you at Maggie and Pearl on Twitter, does Caitlin Clark, does she need to win to be considered the greatest of all time? And again, I would expand this out, not just women's hoops. I think this is basketball in general. Patrick Ewing and Charles Barkley will never be considered the greatest of all time because they didn't win. Now, there's other reasons, but that they don't get in the conversation because they didn't win. For basketball, I do think it's different. EJ, what are the results?
So we asked, does Caitlin Clark need to win a national title to be in the GOAT conversation for women's college basketball? So we had 55% say no. 45% say yes. So 55% say no, she does not need to win a title. 45% say yes, she does.
Now, Perloff, I think what's interesting, and you can go vote at Maggie and Perloff, you also think quarterbacks should fall into this category as well. I was going to say basketball just because we'd never talk about LeBron even anywhere near Michael Jordan if he didn't win titles. We're not talking about, Kareem or Magic or any of these guys as being greatest if they don't win titles. And I think football is different. You're one of 22 people on the field. You're not playing defense. There's so much. It's such a collision sport. But you think quarterbacks should be judged on this too?
Well, quarterbacks are like basketball players. They touch the ball every time.
Right.
So as much of a team sport it is, they have such control of the game. I mean, I know they hand the ball off a lot, but still, they just wins is a quarterback stat to me. That one I differ with a lot of people on, because they have such an outsized influence. We just saw it in the Super Bowl. I mean, who won that game? You could point to every assistant coach, every play call. At the end of the day, Patrick Mahomes was the key. Yeah. Also, because Patrick Mahomes can use his legs. So I feel like quarterback, breaks all my rules because I'm a system quarterback guy. I do feel like you can support guys around there, but you have to have a certain level of quarterback or you're not winning a title. There's no other position like that. Basketball is even more so. I mean, you knew LeBron was going to win a title and you knew Jordan was going to win a title. So now I'm going against my own thing with Caitlin Clark. If she never wins in the WNBA, then that I think will also be a red flag. But she'll have 14 years to do that, right?
Right.
Do you expect her to win? I'd be surprised if Caitlin Clark would never won an NBA title. She's going to be the number one pick in this year's WNBA draft. So I think it's harder in college. I think you could judge college a little differently because you could have a super team like UConn who just blocks everybody out of the title. Like UCLA blocked everyone out for 10 years. So I think you could be in the GOAT conversation without a title.
Interesting. You know, what's happening in the WNBA, though, is like a little bit what happened to the NBA, which is, super teams and joining these sort of factions with Las Vegas and with the Liberty. And so I don't know if she's Indiana Fever, right? They have the number one overall pick. So she goes there and she plays her whole career. Could it be a Reggie Miller situation where Reggie was in Indiana, never even made it to a finals? He was, great player. But again, the super team stuff has come to the WNBA just like it came to the NBA. I think for basketball, you do need a title to be considered an all-time great. And that doesn't mean I don't love what Caitlin Clark is doing or appreciate her impact. And as her coach was saying, let's ride this wave with women's basketball. Let's keep this popularity going. And I hope they can. But football, I give a little bit more grace. Like, I can think that Barry Sanders was the greatest of all time and he didn't win. I can think
greatest player or greatest running back?
I could probably say greatest player if I wanted to make a case. I thought Jerry Rice for a lot of my life was considered the greatest football player of all time as a wide receiver. Now he won, so it was a little different. But there's just so many other factors. I think football is the ultimate team sport.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I judge the same way. But again, we think Tom Brady's the greatest, and it's not because he was a better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers. It's because he has 7 rings.
But if we are comparing the NFL, and I know some of those guys talking about our pre-salary cap era, but still, the NFL to women's college basketball has come a long way. But in the parity department, it's still got a long ways to go. Sure. So when you talk about the NFL and winning a championship, like, there's a lot of parity. Like, a lot of teams have won NFL Super Bowls, NFL championships before. Like, in college basketball, for a long time, we've seen kind of the haves and the have-nots. There's been 2 or 3 or maybe sometimes at the most 4 programs that have a chance every year to win a national championship, and then there's just everybody else. Right. Like, so for Caitlin Clark, who did not go to one of those blue bloods, is it fair to hold her to that same standard when you know that you're going against other stacked teams? I mean, last year LSU was a stacked team, and some of these other teams that have come throughout the years, your UConns, your Baylors, your Tennessees under Pat Summitt, like, those are stacked teams, and Caitlin Clark didn't join that kind of team. So when we're comparing her to other great women, those are women that played on teams that were great.
I get it, but what are we talking about here? Best of the best of the best. I'm not saying, is she a top 10 player? Is she a top 20 player? We're asking, is she like a top 3? So I don't mind having the most ridiculous of high standards, even because we're talking about putting her in such high esteem.
Well, the other thing too, if we're talking about college basketball history, you can't ignore what happened with Angel Reese too. Angel Reese, and correct me if I'm wrong, basically came out and said we're overrating her because she's white and she's the great white hype. So I think too that is part of this conversation with her. She became a huge national story last year because of what Angel Reese said. So I think that is always going to be in the conversation. I mean, you remember what happened when LSU beat her. She did the face thing.
Well, Caitlin did the John Cena, you can't see me, and then Angel Reese did it back. I like when people talk trash to each other. I like the fact that, there was a little bit of, bad blood. It never crossed over to anything that got, unsavory. But it was was some bad blood.
I think that people are going to say, what about the black players on this list? Yeah. Are they getting underrated behind her?
Well, but it's not just, it wouldn't just be black players too. I mean, Diana Taurasi would be on this list. You'd be putting over Diana Taurasi. Sue Bird would be another one.
I mean, right. But then somebody say, was she really better than Shamika Holtzclaw? I mean.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Shamika Holtzclaw won.
Yeah.
So I don't think she is, because I don't think you can put her above any of these people, no matter what their race is, if she doesn't win.
Yeah, that it's an interesting point. But I do think is that not part of this story? I do think it is because of what happened last year. It was. I mean, listen, every politician was talking about her last year. It became so huge.
And there was a big faux pas, obviously, that the first lady had
Yes.
when they lost. Iowa lost, and the first lady, Joe Biden, said, "Well, can't we invite both teams to the White House?" And that got people really upset because that was an all-time boneheaded blunder thing to say. Even if you want a kumbaya moment, and I'm not trying to come down hard on the first lady, she's not the commissioner of sports, but you can't say that. You know, the the victor goes the spoils. Even in this, hey, we're all supporting each other and go women, you still have to acknowledge there was a winner and a loser in that game.
It's sort of what I mean is like her star power gets confused with her goatness. Like, is she the greatest player of all time? Is she the biggest star? Is she the biggest ratings? Why is she the biggest ratings?
Right.
There's just so much more here. It's also different eras. Steph Curry she learned about the logo shot from Sabrina Ionescu.
Right.
30 years ago, players didn't have access to that kind of shot, right? They weren't doing that. So maybe all these greats could have done it. She built off of Kelsey Plum and Sabrina Ionescu.
Yeah.
So I do think, by the way, she beat Kelsey Plum. Nobody talks about Kelsey Plum on the all-time list. She was amazing as well.
She was.
But she didn't win, so maybe she
Again,
fit
like this is part of it. And Ionescu, unfortunately, the COVID came in and canceled both the men's and women's tournaments the year, and then she went on to the WNBA.
How big is this story going to be? It's right now, it's February 16th. March, is she going to be the biggest star in the world in a month? Is she going to be the person we're talking about most?
Yes. She will have the moment. She will own March. Unless somehow they get upset early on in the tournament, she will own the month. Yeah.
I mean,
rightfully so.
For all sports.
Well, you know what? South Carolina is going to have something to say about this. They are really good.
I mean, this tournament, that's why I'm very curious how this is going to go because, again, women's basketball this year, the amount of parity, we've seen way more upsets inside the top 10 and the top 5 than we're used to seeing. This is one of the greatest years we've had in terms of balance when it comes to women's basketball. Like, Caitlin Clark's amazing. I mean, they lost to Nebraska last week. It wasn't like they lost to,
She didn't score in the fourth quarter.
Right. It's not like they lost to UConn. They lost to, South Carolina. Like, this is going to be a tournament probably more akin to what we've seen from the men's March Madness, where I don't know if I could just pencil in Iowa and say, yep, definitely in that championship or even definitely Final Four. So I hope for the game's sake and for Caitlin's sake and for Iowa's sake that we get them deep into this tournament, but they're not going to be able to just walk over these teams.
Also, what happens is LSU has come down a little bit, but what if they storm back? Because I think their coach and their star player gets a lot of attention. And Stanford, it seems like a high-profile team this year, too.
In the chat, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio, twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio, where Maggie's karaoke pants, which I famously ripped. Well, it wasn't famous. It was on my own time. I ripped them and didn't realize it and walked 12 blocks home with just ripped pants. Says, Caitlin Clark is an amazing player. She's not the GOAT. She's a tremendously popular player. Popularity does not equal GOAT.
Yep. That's a really interesting question with her. Is it more the popularity or the quality of play?
Well, and
or
also,
both?
let's talk about it because it's the popularity in a sport that generally was more of a niche sport. You can be super popular in the NBA. Do you really move the needle for the NBA? That's already a multi-billion-dollar year.
I think as much as...
Does it mean more because she's doing it in a niche sport? Sorry.
I think while it's one of those things where I could appreciate the sentiment, I just don't think it's realistic. Like, Michael Jordan, part of the reason why we think Michael Jordan's the greatest, and I think he's the greatest, I'm one of those people, but it is because of the shoes. It is because of the Gatorade commercials. It is because of Like Mike. All those things, like, it all matters.
Yep.
Like it matters with Babe Ruth. Like, Babe Ruth was not just also hitting on runs; he was a folk hero.
Right.
Like, and there's a folk hero-ness to when we talk about these GOATs. Again, Tom Brady, celebrity, dating, marrying Giselle. Like, it all goes into it.
I think Caitlin has that. She's a folk hero.
Right. She's a folk hero as well. So I think to say that doesn't matter is like, you could say that, but like to the masses, it definitely does.
But who wins multiple titles and doesn't become a folk hero? You have to be. Like Babe Ruth at 60 homers, and the next guy was like at 28.
Oh, but Russell has 11, and we don't like, and he's he's a hero in other regards, civil rights hero, and other just as a person. But we don't think of him as Michael Jordan.
Yeah, but that was a different era of NBA. I mean, if he won 10 titles in a row in the 80s, maybe it would have been different.
Yeah, I mean, Wilt Chamberlain's a folk hero because of the 100
He
points.
only won 2.
Right, but the 100-point game.
Right.
By the way, one sport, if you take out the PEDs, there's no doubt who the greatest baseball player of all time is.
Yeah, Barry.
And he certainly didn't win a title. He came close, But baseball
is so different.
Baseball,
to me.
you definitely, I think Shohei is the number one player in the league right now, and
Never played in a playoff game.
Yeah, and Mike Trout's like the second best player, and he's played in 3 playoff games or.
Yeah, you can get to the Hall of Fame without any postseason success, like Ernie Banks or someone like that. Yeah, you don't.
It's the opposite. You mentioned that you have the ball in your hand all the time in basketball, so you better win at a high level. Baseball, they know that you can't do anything as one person.
No, and listen, baseball, they don't even, and actually basketball does this too, but not in college. They don't even count the postseason stats in your stats. Like, that's crazy to me.
What do you mean? Oh, what do you mean?
In your counting stats, like your stats for the season, for your averages and stuff, the postseason doesn't count. Like an Aaron Judge, for whatever he does in the postseason, we don't use that stat to talk about his season.
Right, that's every sport.
No,
it's not college football.
Not college football and not college basketball.
Yeah, it's not college
but
basketball.
they don't have until recently, they didn't really have postseasons. I mean,
yeah, but bowl games count. And
tournament
postseason games
right,
count now on your totals.
Right, but obviously NBA, NHL,
NBA doesn't,
NFL.
And baseball doesn't. I always thought that's crazy. It's like these are the more pressure-packed, in theory, these are the bigger games against better competition. Why those stats don't count when we talk, why LeBron's postseason numbers don't count towards him being the leading scorer in NBA history is crazy.
Well, I do think that it's what I love about baseball is that you actually wipe away your regular season stats when the playoffs start. Like, I kind of like the aspect of, what you did in the regular season doesn't matter. Now, we haven't got to that point with the NFL or, the NBA where we still consider, this guy averaged 30 points a game in the NBA, that we're going to show that on the screen.
Yeah, but James Harden. And then what did he do in the postseason?
I know, yeah. But in Major League Baseball, it's the ALCS, and I'm seeing Alex Rodriguez come to the plate. I see 115. It's like, whoa, this is Alex Rodriguez. But it does show, hey, this is a new season. So I think baseball probably has it closest.
Well, baseball, but it's
a little different.
Baseball has to do this thing. They have 162 games, and you need to keep it 162 so you can keep the records uniform. Like you knew, actually, though Maris had less games, you have an idea when someone hits 50 homers, that means something, right? Where that's why baseball can't, one of the reasons people don't want to change the length is so the records stay pristine.
I know, but I think we look at different numbers now. I mean, I think, again, you're doing it and it's, in theory, the more difficult stage.
Oh, I hear you.
Right. So that's what I'm talking about. Anyway, Caitlin Clark, that's the headliner. She's the headliner today because she becomes the all-time leading scorer in women's Division I history. But can you be considered the greatest of all time or in the conversation if she doesn't win a title? 855-212-4CBS. All right. Let's do quarterback matchmaker next. We'll do that. Then we'll do our NBA all-time slam dunk draft, which I know Perloff has been up all night in the lab.
Oh, I don't even need to study. I've been doing this ranking my entire life. I used to spend half my childhood was spent recreating dunks on that little
Nerf
plastic rim you put on the door jamb, and I could do all of them.
Wow, we need video of that.
Oh,
can you do
God.
it now?
Probably not. Well, actually, yeah. I mean, I'm tall. I'm 6'4" now, so I could probably do it.
When you were 5'4",
it wasn't as easy.
Maybe we need a Nerf backboard thing for our studio.
That would be cool. Well, one of our other shows here, they have a little pop shot in their office.
That's true.
Which I'm like, I wish we would have thought of that one.
Well,
it feels weird if we just do the same thing.
We can't do the same.
Yeah, but Nerf hoop, I think we can do. It's a little different.
All right.
I don't know if we need some height here though, because this is kind of you got lights all up in the ceiling. I think someone's going to get majorly injured if we set up a rim in here.
The only time those lights have been touched was when Maggie jumped on the table to smash Carson Wentz. I think we'll be fine.
That's true. That was worth it. I also jumped on the table once to step on Perloff Draymond Green stepped on Sabonis.
I saw that footage as well when I was compiling the best of Maggie and Perloff at the end of 2023.
By the way, I just looked up for the first time. We have millions of dollars of camera and lighting equipment in the studio. What is going on here?
That's why we look so good.
They're all pointed away from us and not on.
That's why we look so awesome. YouTube.com/CBS Sports Radio, Twitch.tv/CBS
I'm sure Pete Schwartz could have a full breakdown on how they put these lights together and how
they didn't
actually raise it. They actually created them on the ground and then put it up, and how that was so much better.
Yeah, that was even better the second time. Maggie and Perloff, 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Coming up, we play quarterback matchmaker. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Oh, yes. Little NFL Films music. Super Bowl in the rear view mirror. NFL offseason is here. This is going to be a good one, Maggie. This is going to be a great 6 months of ignoring sports that are actually happening and talking NFL football.
We love doing that around here. So let's do a little game we like to call Quarterback Matchmaker. EJ's going to give us a team with an uncertain quarterback situation. We'll tell you who we think should be their starting quarterback in 2024. EJ, hit us up.
Okay, let's go to a city we were just at, Las Vegas. Of course, they had Aiden O'Connell. They started with Jimmy Garoppolo. So new coach, new general manager. What happens with the Las Vegas Raiders? You guys have 30 seconds on the clock.
Oh, my. If they don't draft a quarterback, if they bring in another Jimmy G type, I am throwing away all my Raiders jerseys. They need a long-term answer here. It feels like, I know Derek Carr was good, but it feels like forever since they were really just guaranteed to win because of their quarterback.
Well, I'll tell you who it's going to be. It's going to be Michael Penix. I think it should be Penix.
Now, right
now, they are sitting at 13. You might need a trade up here, and I would do it. You have Luke Getsy now as your new offensive coordinator. Put Michael Penix in a dome. You want somebody who's got a little bit of experience under their belt. I love Penix for the Raiders.
Don't love Getsy, but yes, I agree with you. I think that's a great fit.
Okay, let's go to Chicago. They got a big question mark here. Who's the quarterback match for the Chicago Bears?
Caleb Williams. I'm not getting moved off my spot. I don't care what kind of reports come out. I don't care if Caleb Williams doesn't want to go to the Bears. I don't care about that. They should take him. They will take him. They will call his bluff. Caleb Williams will be the Bears quarterback.
I totally agree with you, except I'm going to have one caveat. I think the scenario with Justin Fields is still there, is in play. Because,
to keep them both.
Yes, because it's going to be hard for teams to trade for Justin Fields because that means they have to pay him immediately, and I don't think they want to do that.
Well, you could just pick up his fifth-year option.
You could, but you know how NFL trades are. The agents get really... If you trade for a guy, there's pressure to re-sign him. It's tough.
Let's go to New York. How about the New York Football Giants? Daniel Jones coming back from several injuries, including torn ACL. What do we think about the New York Giants?
You're going to have to trade with New England Patriots up to 3 to get Jaden Daniels or Drake May. You so badly need a quarterback. I know you have Daniel Jones 1 year, and I know you need a wide... How long have you needed a big-time wide receiver there? Forever, as far as I can remember, except Odell. So I think you go quarterback hard in the draft here. I don't think they're going to be able to pull it off necessarily, but that's the goal.
I have zero faith in the New York Giants that they're going to be able to do anything here. Daniel Jones is going to be your starting quarterback. They'll bring in some kind of backup, whether it's Tyrod again, Jacoby Brissett, whatever. Nobody to compete with him. I do not have faith that the New York Giants are going to get this right.
They're at 6. They're so close.
Yeah, but New England's not trading with anybody.
How about Minnesota? They also have a quarterback coming off of a key injury. Kirk Cousins, torn Achilles, also free agent.
Yeah.
So who's playing the quarterback for the Vikings?
I'll go Kirk Chainz. It's going to be Kirk back in Minnesota. They pick 11, so it doesn't take them off the board for a quarterback. But I don't know if they're going to trade up. I know they haven't been in love with Kirk Cousins, but they just found out what life was like without Kirk Cousins, and I think it probably scared him. I think he gets another 2-year deal.
I totally agree. I mean, where's their more perfect fit personality-wise? And Justin Jefferson is going to leave if they don't bring back Kirk Cousins. That's a big factor, too. It's got to be Kirk.
Okay, final one here. Pretty tumultuous situation out in Denver. Denver Broncos. Doesn't seem like they want Russ back, but he's got a lot of money, so we'll figure out how they figure that out. What does the Denver Broncos do?
Post-June 1 cut for Russ. We knew that a short quarterback fits with Sean Payton. They just had the wrong short quarterback. Baker was great in Tampa Bay. Sean Payton made a joke about how good he was the other day.
Oh, wow.
Baker Mayfield, Denver Broncos, reunite the sort of Drew Brees offense. Let's go.
All right. I think Denver Broncos drafting J.J. McCarthy.
Ooh.
This is... I know that Sean Payton isn't big on young QBs, but I think this is a point where they're picking at 12.
Yeah.
You might be able to get McCarthy here, depending how the draft breaks for you. And listen, what's one of the things that they love about Russ? Not so much Drew Brees, but Russ, his ability to move around, right? I mean, J.J. McCarthy gives you that. He can play. Quarterbacks who can use their legs can play right away. And I think J.J. McCarthy is going to be a Denver Bronco.
I can't get over they are looking for Drew Brees. And J.J. McCarthy's all physical tools, no Drew Brees. I mean, they didn't even let him throw. I mean, that's a great point. I think that he wants to get back. He's got to win immediately, right? He can't develop J.J. McCarthy. If Payton has another losing season,
I think if they start over with a young quarterback, gives you a little bit more of a grace period. Listen, Baker Mayfield's going to take out Patrick Mahomes. Come on, you got to bring it in this division.
I don't know. I just feel like who's the closest player right now to Drew Brees to run that Peyton system? And I thought it could be Russ. I was high on Russ. Not so much.
Let's go back to the phones, 855-212-4CBS. We've been asking you about Caitlin Clark becomes the all-time leading scorer in women's Division I history, but can she be considered the greatest of all time if she never wins a title? Marcus is in Seattle, wants to weigh in. Good morning, Marcus. Hello. Marcus going once. Marcus put you on hold. Peter Schwartz is here with headlines. Pierre.
We're still going with Pierre?
Unless you come up with something different. I think it suits you. Very debonair.
How about I'm back with you guys on Tuesday?
Okay.
So how about we take the weekend to kind of we'll caucus with our people. I'll caucus with my family, some other friends who are into wrestling.
What do you have against Pierre? You're not French.
I just don't think Pierre fits this.
This?
I don't think
you're making us your head to toe.
I need something I think a little bit more.
Listen.
So are you pulling the creative control card?
No.
What are you?
I got it.
Scott Hall in '98? What are we doing?
No, let's not pull a Montreal screw job here again. Now I'm just saying I just don't think Pierre is a good fit.
I could see you a beret. You're smoking a cigarette. You're dressed in black and white stripes. Maybe your face is painted like a mime. I don't know. We're just spitballing here.
Do you remember Renee Goulet?
I remember Renee Goulet.
Renee the Hand Goulet, I think.
Yeah.
Cafe Renee.
What's that?
What was it, Pete?
I thought he had didn't he have a? No, that's something else. Never mind. But no, he was
all the way, Renee.
He was a jobber, and then ended up being a road agent for WWE.
What's a jobber?
Yeah,
the guy who was a tomato can, lost every match.
Jobber.
ST Jones was
Brooklyn Brawler. Back in the day when wrestling
Yeah.
was on Saturday mornings, and Hulk Hogan would
just destroy
face some
somebody.
tomato can.
Yeah, he'd have a real name like Bill Smith or something. There would be no nickname. He'd have a one-piece
Jose
singlet.
Luis Santana?
Rivera.
Sorry about that.
What do we have for headlines, sir?
Let's begin with college basketball. Big night for Iowa star Caitlin Clark.
In the paint, Filia with 12. A Fulter free throw line extended left. Clark comes off a screen three-pointer. Swish! Left to the top of the key. And there it is. 49 for Caitlin Clark. The single best scoring performance by an Iowa basketball player.
That was the call on Learfield IMG. Iowa star Caitlin Clark scoring a career-high 49 points in the Hawkeyes' 106-89 win over Michigan. And with a first-half three-pointer, she became the all-time NCAA women's scoring leader.
Honestly, warming up, my shot just felt good, so I knew it was going to be kind of one of those nights, and kind of played with a little bit more pep in my step. And I knew that's what this team needed after coming off of a loss. And just lucky, my teammates. I'm just so thankful they let me be me, and I wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't for them. So I'm just really thankful.
Clark now with 3,569 career points. Do you think all those WNBA teams, even the ones that don't get her, are going to be thrilled when her team comes into their building?
Oh, definitely. But it's funny that she said she was really feeling it. It's uh-oh. Someone like her who even puts up, 30 points when she's on an off night.
It's kind of like a little bit of Travis Kelce. Why don't they cover Travis Kelce? Come tournament time, I'm triple teaming Caitlin Clark. What? You don't need to be a brilliant coach to say, let's let someone else beat us.
Everybody already does, and she had 49 last night.
Yeah.
Men's college basketball, number 2, Purdue over Minnesota, 84-76. To the NBA, we'll begin in Utah.
Lester gets it back to Clay. He's got Kessler on him on the left wing. Dribbles into a three and rails it right in Kessler's grill. 112.96. Get down with your bad self, Klay Thompson.
How good is Tim Roy on Warriors radio? The Warriors beat the Jazz 140-137. Klay Thompson, 35 points off the bench.
I embraced it before tip, and I deserved it. Really, I didn't respond to the not playing at the end of the game well last night. I kind of took it out on the assistant coaches, and I apologized to those guys before the game. And I think that really let my guard down and let me just be myself out there.
How do you not love this story? Perloff's poo-pooing it Klay Thompson coming off the bench. Why wasn't he playing that well the rest of the season? I like it.
Yeah.
This is a dude who hasn't been come off the bench since his rookie season.
March 11th, 2012.
He's a 4-time champion. He's one of the greatest shooters of all time. Totally humbled in a different part of his career now. And he's not sulking. He's not asking for a trade. He's not being a pain in the ass. He's going out and contributing to a win.
Wait. You make it sound like it's something that's been going on for so long. This is his first time in how many years?
12 years.
Whatever. I like it.
I don't know. Something funny's been going on with Clay. There's been just weird energy around Clay up and down all year long.
I don't know if you guys saw, he didn't shake Steph's hand at one point in the game a couple nights ago.
Yeah, I'm just saying, now he shows up after being 1 for 9 the night before from 3.
But here's the thing. Don't you get a little time when you're an all-time great player like this, and Klay Thompson is a champion, to adjust to a new phase in your career? Like, we're not used to that now. For some reason, our all-time great players now just are amazing until they ride off into the sunset, right?
LeBron's a little bit of LeBron and Brady.
Still like an all-NBA player.
Yeah, I'm saying LeBron and Brady, but those are 2 all-time freaks. I'm not sure that those are models for anybody.
No, but like Aaron Rodgers is going to attempt to do this.
I mean, Kevin Durant is really pushing the envelope now. Was he 35 and he's still averaging 28?
Aging is just not what it used to be in sports.
Yeah. No.
Even for 7-footers. So
that's my point. Like Clay should not be as bad as he's been all year.
But he's had those crippling injuries, though.
Yeah,
I mean, that's probably true.
I just like the fact that he's not that bitter.
He's also lucky, and this goes back to what he just said in the cut about yelling at the assistant coaches. He's also fortunate that he didn't just get benched completely, that he still had a chance to
I think he's had an attitude problem all year, and it just bothers me a little bit. Now he steps up and plays his best game because he got benched. Like, where was that game before?
Well, I like a superstar gets humbled, obviously, and instead of taking his ball and going home, he owns it, takes accountability, even if it didn't happen immediately. Okay, give him a couple days. He takes accountability, and he still contributes to a win. I like that.
I mean, actually, the real story here is what happens to the Warriors. Can they get back in the mix? Because they're playing like a different team now.
That's true.
We have reached NBA All-Star Weekend in Indianapolis Saturday night. A really cool event. Warriors star Steph Curry will go up against WNBA star SABRINA IOENESCU of the New York Liberty in a 3-point shooting contest. Curry said IOENESCU's performance during the 3-point contest at WNBA All-Star Weekend got him thinking.
This summer, knew she was in 3-point contest. Didn't know 37 points was coming. Then there was just this big bomb that went off on, the reaction around that. Fast forward 8 months later, 7 months later, whatever it is, we're having this moment and reshaping how people think about, just competition in general.
That was on a Zoom call yesterday. IOENESCU was also on the Zoom. She's looking forward to the showdown and what it will mean for women's basketball.
For me, it's just continuing to raise the bar and to put us and give us the opportunities to be on this platform. Understanding, it being on TV and young girls and young boys being able to watch it and understanding how important visibility is, and knowing that there's going to be a young kid who maybe hasn't watched many WNBA games, but is going to watch and tune into this.
My younger son wants to tune into this. He thinks this is pretty cool. So
really?
I think mission accomplished here.
Why do you think he wants to watch it?
Well, he wanted to go to a game in the playoffs, and all the games were sold out. So
the WNBA games.
Yep. So he really wants to see IOENESCU, something about her, the flair and everything, and he loves Steph Curry too. So it's going to be like the greatest thing to see this tomorrow night.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I don't know how to feel about this, to be honest.
Really?
I mean, I like it. It's fine. It's just I'm not. I guess I'm just not sure. I don't know. It's not a battle of the sexes thing.
Right. She doesn't really have anything to lose here. This is all positive energy, I think.
I don't. Yes, it does feel positive. I'm a little concerned about what the backlash, and maybe she doesn't care, and nor should she, but is there going to be a backlash if she loses? I think that there are going to be people, and listen, there's jerks out there no matter what, but are people going to be eager to sort of metaphorically dunk on her if she doesn't perform well? And that's not a reason not to do it. You should not not do something just because of a fear of potential failure, and she might win, who knows? But I don't know. I'm just curious to see what the reaction will be if she loses.
Does it soften the blow a little bit in a loss if you lose to the greatest 3-point shooter of all time? In some ways, I think that helps her. She's not going up against Jalen Brunson. She's going up against who Steph Curry could smoke anybody who's ever lived in a 3-point shootout. Losing to him, there's really no shame in that. And the reason why she's in this is because of, as the cut said, what she did over the summer, which is something that nobody's ever done.
Right.
So I don't know. I think that again, if she was,
so she wins. What does she get? A pat on the head?
No, I think you say like, wow, that's incredible that like she took that performance in Las Vegas in the summer and she was able to do it on an even bigger stage against who we think is the greatest shooter ever. Like I think there's a lot to gain with this.
Well, they did have for years that sort of WNBA, NBA competition thing, like
Two-ball
skills
thing, yeah.
And I think, I mean, there's nothing that America's ever cared less about in the history of sports than that event. It wasn't because it was women and men. It was just such a stupid event.
Well, here's the thing. I think the biggest proponent and champion of women's basketball has been men's basketball. Like one of the guys who I think appreciate the women's professional players the most are the men's professional players. I mean, they put them over, to use a wrestling term, all the time because they recognize the skill. They realize obviously how talented these women are, how hard they work. It's athlete to athlete.
They go to the games too, and they go to the games.
They watch the games. They go to the games. Like I don't know if you have to. The last people you'd have to prove anything to would be the other basketball players. So again, this is for the public, and I don't know.
But I think it's more fun, and maybe I'm being naive. I think it's more fun than maybe I don't take it as like seriously. I guess I think to me it's like SABRINA IOENESCU is a sniper, and again, what she did in that women's 3-point shootout was incredible, truly incredible. So to say, okay, let's see what happens. You put her against the best men's shooter. What does that happen?
Yeah.
Like to me, like the college basketball women's versus men's 3-point, like that always is a fun time. They do it in the Madonna All-American game as well.
Right.
Like it's always fun, and we don't like look at it as it's like, what does that mean that the women lost or whatever? Like, I think this is just going to be a fun time.
Listen, maybe that's me showing sort of some of some of my baggage and scars and stuff like that, where it's hard to think that this is just going to be played, and if she loses, it's still going to be this great celebration of her. And maybe that's just me because I maybe came up in a different era. I don't know, but I hope that's the case.
To your point, and I think it would absolutely suck if she gets a lot of like anti-female backlash after this event. But the thing I would say about her, watching a lot of her play for the Liberty the last couple of years, she seems to be a very well-liked person in general in the sports world. Like there's nothing about her, at least that I've seen, that has rubbed people the wrong way. No, there's nothing in your face about her. She just goes about her business and shoots the basketball, and she's a good basketball player. And I think that helps her in this event, that she's a well-liked person.
And she was anointed by Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
And Kobe loved her, and that, I think, goes a long, long way. And she's a great player.
I mean, personally, I hope Monday she's not the headline. I hope Micah Parsons having a minor injury in the All-Star game. Is that wrong? Oh, wait, I can't say that out loud.
No, you cannot hope that Micah Parsons tweaks a knee. No. 855, yes.
I think Micah Parsons in the celebrity game is going to be a sneaky big story this weekend. That is going to be really wild to see.
855-212-4CBS. Peter, thank you so much. 855-212-4227. All right, we get to it. Our NBA all-time slam dunk contest draft comes your way next. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Three, two, one. This is Andrew Perloff with an Odyssey Sport.
2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Morning show here on CBS Sports Radio. All right, NBA All-Star Weekend got us talking about the dunk contest, Perloff's favorite topic, along with mock drafts.
Yeah, it's actually 1 and 2 in my all-time things.
I know you. Okay, so we decided to do something a little fun here. We're going to do an all-time NBA slam dunk contest draft. So if we could draft the greatest, what are we doing? Slam dunk champions to a team, if you will, between me, Perloff, and EJ. Pete, you don't want to do this one? No. Okay. Pete's boycotting the NBA for reasons unknown for the last 20 years.
It's a dunk contest.
Okay, dunk contest.
He's angry that Mac McClung's doing it, though.
That's right.
He's protesting Mac McClung.
Spud Webb, and that's it.
Maybe he'll make the list.
And Jordan.
All right, well, you're basically doing it now.
That's right. Carter.
Why do you not want to
You sure you don't want to do it?
No.
You got 3 of the ones on my... Okay. Anyway.
Yeah,
so we got the order. Perloff goes first, then me, then EJ.
I need to trade the pick.
Why?
I can't do number 1.
Why?
Because you're making me choose between my 2 favorites of all time.
I'm sorry.
I mean, come on.
I mean, maybe not in this NFL draft, but the Commanders or the Bears, I'm sure they have two guys they like too. I'm sure they want to have Marvin Harrison and Caleb. They can't have both.
I mean, can I trade with New England? Or who's got the 3 pick? Maybe I will go down to 3. Oh,
no, I
don't make me do this. Don't make me choose between the 2 greatest North Carolina Tar Heels of all time.
Well, Perloff, you're on the clock.
All right.
This is the all-time NBA slam dunk champion draft.
I mean, all right, fine. You cannot pick against a human being who actually is the only human being ever to have the power of flight, and that is Michael Jordan as my number 1. Regrettably, I can't believe I'm doing this because I love you, Vince. You're my favorite, but I got to go Jordan.
Well, this is just easy pickings for me. Give me Vince Carter all day. Can we get a little Vince Carter highlight?
All right, here is Vince Carter with his first stop. Let's go home. Let's go home, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go home.
Can I get it through the legs, Dunk? Can I get Vince Carter just being amazing? Give me Vince. All right, EJ, you're up.
Okay, so I have the next pick here, number 3. And we're doing it snake style, right? So I got 4 as well. Okay, so number 3, very easy. I feel like I'm going to smoke you guys now. I got the greatest dunk contest dunker of all time, Zach LaVine.
Yes, he is. But I tell you, he's unbelievable. Okay, you put Jordan on your back. You had to do something special. He says, I want a 50. I don't want 49. Don't want 48. Give me 50, New York judges.
But Kenny was with the great commentary.
He's got him on his feet again. He's got you on his feet again. Put your hands in the air.
That's crazy.
He throws it. He puts it behind his back. He's not even worried about it.
Yeah, I mean, Zach LaVine, incredible. So he's my number 3 pick, and I got the 4th pick here. And look, if I'm going to put the greatest dunk contest team together, why not put the 2 guys who had the greatest dunk contest ever, in my opinion? So I'm going with Aaron Gordon for my 4th pick, a guy who did not actually win the dunk contest, but he'd be my 4th pick. So, Pete, cut 15, please, of Aaron Gordon.
That might be Alfred Payton in that mascot.
Oh my God. Let's go home. Oh. Let's go home. Oh. Let's go home. Let's go home.
I think getting a let's go home from Kenny is like the equivalent of whatever it's like a Vern Lundquist, like, yes, sir.
Yeah.
It's one of the all-time. Anyway, okay, next for me, I'm up. Can I get Nate Robinson, who won this dunk contest 3 different times, jumping over Spud Webb?
Maybe 50, Kenny. 50, Kenny. 50!
Oh! That's a 50. That is a 50. I don't care what you say.
Man.
The young fella came in here and put on a show.
He got Spud Webb, jumped over him at the Spud, gave him the pass, and the crowd just went crazy.
There you go.
Johnson with the assist there.
What do you have, Perloff? You're up.
How many rounds are we going? We got to go 3 now.
We'll go until the segment's over.
Okay, then, wow, I see the way you guys are going. You guys are only doing people you've seen play, so I am going to go Dominique Wilkins here to take him off the board while I can.
Cut 23.
That even has the Chicago fans humming because the power that Dominique has. Here he comes up in the air. Look at the legs, look at the arms, the windmill, and power.
Yeah, I mean, Dominique was born to be in slam dunk contest. Talk about a guy who was in the GOAT conversation and never came close to winning. Neek is the best.
All right, my next pick, I'm going to go with someone I did not see play, but that doesn't mean I'm not a student of the game. Give me Dr. J. Give me Julius Erving, the free throw line dunk.
Here we go. Can he do what he did in 76?
Oh, Dot flying down the lane for the slam. Look at his takeoff point, John.
Oh, man, that's what makes this move. Julius did it all.
And Julius gets the first 50 of the day.
Perfect.
Do you know Julius, Dr. J, dunked within the last 10 years?
Incredible.
Filing a protest here. I assumed you guys were going to ignore Dr. J and let him fall to me. You can't take Dr. J from me.
I just took him.
That's your fault.
Well, I mean, you put Nate Robinson over Dominique Wilkins. I figured you guys didn't understand how this thing works.
I love Dr. J. I don't know what you're talking about. All right, EJ, this might be the last one.
Yeah, so this would be the last pick for me. Oh, tough one here. Actually, I'm going to call it audible. I was going to go one way. But actually, I'm going to go with Jason Richardson. This is cut 17P. Jason Richardson, 2-time slam dunk champion.
Has to jump off 2 feet also.
Look how he did the between the legs. He came backwards. He's backwards instead of forwards. There you go. Oh, backwards instead of forwards. Oh!
Jason Richardson, one of the most underrated dunk contest guys. People don't give him enough credit. He was awesome. So
really
Jason
was
Richardson, Michigan State, he's my final pick.
Those are great. Can we, by the way, we collect the last. Can we play the Cedric Sabalas blindfold sound? That made me laugh so hard. That's right.
Now we got some creativity here now. I'm not believing this. Blind. Here comes Sabalos. Yes! A perfect score of 50 for Cedric Sabalos, the only one tonight.
We all agree he could see, right?
There's no way he was blindfolded or he couldn't see. He went from the half-court line.
It's one of the great conspiracy theories of all time.
It's like the frozen envelope with Patrick Ewing draft, and Cedric Sabalos could see.
Okay, Perloff, you took Michael Jordan. Who was your second one?
Dominique.
And who's your third one?
I don't think I got the 3.
Cedric Sabalos.
Ced Sabalos.
I took Vince Carter, Nate Robinson, and Dr. J. EJ took Zach LaVine, Aaron Gordon, Jason Richardson. That is your NBA slam dunk all-time draft. Maggie and Perloff coming up. Bold predictions for the second half of the NBA season. These are spicy. Got them next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
She was the Heisman Trophy winner in 1986. He left her off the ballot. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Long rebound dug up by Gabby Marshall. Scoops a pass to Clark. Logo 3. Got it! 22 is now number 1. Caitlin Clark is the NCAA's all-time scoring leader in women's basketball history.
Unbelievable moment for Caitlin Clark. She gets the record on a 3 from the logo Perloff, as if it could be any other way.
Oh, of course. And it was even deeper than some of her other threes.
Yep.
It was barely over half court. That's the amazing thing about her. And you always expect her, it can't always work, right? She can't always hit that 40-foot shot, and she always does.
It's unreal. She meets the moment at every turn, and she has now taken sports by storm. I can't even just say college basketball or women's college basketball. She's definitely transcended that. This is a golden time right now for women's college basketball, because not just her, but because of South Carolina, because of so many other great players, and Caitlin Clark has become this national phenom and story. I mean, 50,000-seat arena she's packing. You can't get a ticket on the secondary market for less than $400. I mean, this is real stuff here that's going on. And not just that, but you had a women's college basketball game that outrated an NBA game earlier this year. We're in a different time now, and hopefully for women's basketball, they can ride this wave. But Caitlin Clark is she's the tip of the spear here in terms of creating this new audience for women's college hoops.
I think it's been growing, actually, because we mentioned SABRINA IOENESCU going against Curry this weekend. Kelsey Plum was a big star. Paige Beckers came in as the most hyped college basketball player in a long time. And the other thing is the men's game has all but disappeared. I'm sorry, it'll come back in March. But the regular season of men's college basketball, because the great players are going elsewhere. They're going to the G League. They're staying in Europe. So I think that women's has taken advantage of that. And it's, by the way, it's also, you got to remember, I think there's a bunch of big stars here. We got Juju at USC, we got Cameron Brink at Stanford, and we have Paige Becker still at UConn. I think this is going to be enormous ratings with or without Kate. I hope Caitlin gets deep into it because I want to see history.
Yeah.
But even if she doesn't, I'll bet you that there's huge eyeballs on the Final Four.
Listen, we're not that far removed from, remember the women's tournament? It was like, could they use the term March Madness? I mean, again, it's not like we yes, it has been getting better, but there's been this kind of quick sea change here. I think that's been noticeable. And I think that Caitlin Clark has a lot to do with it. I think last year, Caitlin and Angel Reese, I think having both and this all-time great matchup was awesome. There was some bad blood there. We love rivals. We saw what Larry Bird and Magic Johnson did for the NBA. Why couldn't those two, do something similar for women's college hoops? Not that there weren't great players that came before her. Of course there have been. But this feels different.
Well, maybe UConn winning 10 titles from 2000 to 2016 slowed it down a little bit. I know, I used to work out. Dan Patrick's show was in Connecticut, and our girls were a huge story. Same in ESPN, UConn was so famous. Maybe that kind of slowed down the sport a little bit now that you have people who are all over the country and you have dominant teams and a little more parity. EJ mentioned no one's really quite sure. It feels like South Carolina's title to lose. But nothing is guaranteed anymore. It used to be Tennessee. When I was a kid, it was Tennessee every year. Yeah. And then it was UConn every year. So that's exciting, too. Quick question. Do they need Caitlin Clark to get to the Final Four for this to be a hit?
Well, if you want to keep shattering these TV records, I think you do.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Just because, and I'm not saying she's not doing it alone. Like, let's not get it twisted. She's not doing it alone. In order to have a great story, you also need a great foil. Because you're right, with teams that are just straight up dominant, UConn, Tennessee, it doesn't. They're just steamrolling everybody. Now, when it's football and it's Alabama, we love it. But when it's women's college basketball, it's, not, it didn't have the same impact on the sport, I think, that Alabama's dominance had on college football.
You know who I give credit to, by the way? Steph Curry. This is the Steph Curry effect. Yep. This is not happening. If a lot of women saw Steph Curry do it and said, I can move back beyond the three-point line so you can't cover me.
Sure.
And then Plum and IOENESCU. So I feel like this is the evolution of Steph Curry, which is, I know, is that unfair to credit a man for this? Because in my mind, that's who she's ultimately copying.
I think Steph Curry changed basketball. I think he changed basketball just period, And again, I don't think he's the only one, but it feels like he was the culmination of, hey, guys can shoot, guys are backing up, analytics get involved, 3-point shot's better than a 2-point shot, and then Steph came in and blew it out of the water.
Even her footwork, even on that shot last night, the way she moved to the right on that, it looks like Steph.
It does. So we're asking the question, though, on Twitter and social media, Maggie and Pearl, if you'd like to go vote, does Caitlin Clark need to win a title to be considered the greatest of all time or even one of the greatest of all time? And you can go vote. Of course, she still has time to do this because we'll get another NCAA tournament with her in it in just a matter of weeks. Okay, NBA All-Star break. Give me your bold prediction for the second half of the NBA season, Perloff.
Maybe this is wishful thinking because it's good for the NBA. The Los Angeles Lakers actually are beginning their run a little earlier this year. They're going to be a force this season.
How far do they go?
I think they're back to the Western Conference Finals, and I think they actually, I'm not sure they win it, but if they get Denver again, it is not going to be 4-0. They're going to be, I think Denver's taking a step back, and here's why. I like the Lakers for a couple reasons. One, I think Anthony Davis is now the star of the team more than LeBron. LeBron is still a star, but I feel like, okay, Anthony Davis is healthy, and of all the teams in the West, everyone else is either super young or super small. The Lakers are big and can match the Nuggets size, and I think there's going to be a confidence there. They're 30-26. They're already 4 games over 500. And dare I say, they even get out of the play-in tournament at some point, Maggie. I think the reason they didn't blow it up at the trade deadline is because they saw this team and we have a chance. There is a big problem, of course. D'Angelo Russell is the most inconsistent, awesome player there ever was. But I think that right now, I think there are enough veterans to pull together. I like the age and the poise of this team. I'm not worried that they're too old. I'm into it. I think the Lakers are dangerous.
I'm going to stay in the Western Conference for my bold prediction for the second half, and it's going to be the team that's right below the Los Angeles Lakers right now. Guys, I said it before the season. I'm going to say it again. Golden State Warriors, last dance vibes happening right now. And the fact that Draymond is back and things are starting to change, if Klay Thompson continues to come off the bench and he's accepting that role, what a weapon that could be for the Golden State Warriors. This is a team that, very good mix of young and old, has the pedigree, been there before so many times. I mean, Steph, a little bit of a funk. He's not going to be in a funk for a long time. I mean, he's already pulling himself out of it. So dangerous. I think last dance, and I'm saying all the way, like real legit last dance championship. Steve Kerr retires after this one. Steph doesn't go anywhere, obviously, or Draymond, they just signed extension. But I think this is it for the Warriors. Like they've weathered the storm, they figured it out, and I think Steph super motivated to get past LeBron. They're tied right now with 4 rings apiece, and I think Steph wants that 5th ring more than anything.
I feel like we pick different versions of the same thing.
Well, okay.
It's funny that we both go to the 2 old Western Conference, the old heads.
Okay, well, here's the thing.
I like it.
Okay, do you have a lot of faith that the Minnesota Timberwolves, Oklahoma City Thunder
Nope.
are going to be able to actually be a championship teams. These are young. It feels like maybe the year before the title.
Yep.
And I will never pick the Clippers.
Yep.
I'm sorry. I will never pick them. Maybe at my own peril. I cannot believe that they will all stay healthy, that Paul George and Kawhi are going to stay healthy.
There's no way it's at your peril.
With James Harden?
Picking against James Harden in the playoffs, that's not at your peril. It'd be crazy in your peril to pick for them. Can I tell you, Devin Booker is going to come out and score 35 points a game until he wears down in the playoffs. Forget it. There's no one out. It's Denver against everybody in my mind, and I think that both these teams are the most dangerous. I like where we're going.
And then as far as like if you had an Eastern Conference bold prediction, I mean, I know what EJ is going to say. This is going to be Nick's banner coming up, so listen,
this is a hard
Boston's been
one to
knocking
do.
on the door so much. At some point, they are going to break through. I think they go back to the finals, and I think it's a rematch with the Warriors, and I think the Warriors win again.
I think in the Eastern Conference, I actually won't run to the Knicks. I think Knicks are battling a lot of injuries. They've lost 4 in a row now. One of them they shouldn't have lost because of terrible refereeing. I got to see what Randall and OG are when they come back. I think the Bucks may get bounced early.
Oh, definitely.
Like, I think that, and like, you know, it may not sound bold today, but when you consider the roster that they have and the expectation that they have, this Doc Rivers thing has not worked out yet. Now, it's we can say it's early, but like, we're deep into the second half of the season now. Like, they got to figure this thing out at some point. They're right now in the 3. If they get the Indiana Pacers in a first-round matchup, the way they've played against the Pacers, that would scare me if I was a Bucks fan.
Okay, so they're 3-7 over their last 10. And did you hear the quote from Doc Rivers last night after they lost?
Yeah, Cancun early.
Yeah, half the team was playing hard and half the team was in Cancun early. I mean, Doc, listen, he's a great all-time quote. That's why he was good in the media.
Right.
And maybe he wanted to stay in the media. But he's a good all-time quote, but I doubt are guys going to appreciate that kind of stuff from a guy who got here 3 weeks ago?
And that quote, and I don't blame Doc for saying it or have anything about Doc saying it. He's probably right. But that quote is an even bigger indictment on those players. Because, again, what did we hear just 3 weeks ago? Was that, we could not play with Adrian Griffin.
Right.
This scheme, and then what he was doing, he didn't know what he was doing. Like, we didn't use anybody else. And then you got Doc saying, these guys aren't playing with effort. So, which, like, you can't complain about the other coach. And then you bring in Doc Rivers, the guy you guys wanted, and then he's saying we're losing because these guys are just there in Cancun. Like, this team is
does not bode well for them.
They are just so unlikable this year. And it's so crazy because you have Lillard and Giannis, guys that everybody could like, but then you have a 3 out of 10 game situation, 3 wins in the last 10 games, and no effort from them in an important part of the season.
But it doesn't make any sense, and we're talking about the East. I mean, clearly, if you discount the Miami Heat at any time, forget the team, forget logic, forget anything. Something happens in the spring, and Miami will probably be back. I mean, EJ, you were saying the other day you don't think this is the same Miami team. I'm sorry. I just think they find a way.
I think this is the year where Miami really kind of finally the rubber meets the road on like the fact that they've been tearing down this roster and saying we could just replace them with another G League guy or another undrafted guy and figure out how to make it work. They lost Gabe Vincent. They lost Max Strus, and they drafted Hawkins, who was great, but they didn't replace them with anybody.
I don't know. Gabe Vincent and Max Strus, what are those guys?
Those guys were crucial in their run to the playoffs.
They were, but now, I mean, you did trade for Rozier. I think you're hoping that that's going to pay off dividends. I mean, again, I'm with Perloff. You really can't discount Miami, even though I just did it. That we will learn to regret that. 855-212-4CBS. Yes, Perloff.
Yeah, but what are Gabe Vincent and Max Strus doing this year? Miami makes average players. What's that?
The fit is terrible where they're at.
Or they're terrible.
Maybe, but either way, I think at a certain point, those guys played well for you. Gabe Vincent's been hurt too, so I don't want to bang on him too much. He hasn't played a lot this year. But those guys played well for you, and they were difference makers in Miami last year. And this year, they don't have those guys, and I think they've seen the struggles with that. Now, will Terry Rozier figure it out? He hasn't played well to start this way. Maybe. Will Jaime Jaquez not play like a rookie in the playoffs? Maybe. With the Heat, usually that's what happens. But I don't know. Something about them just doesn't look right this season.
Maggie, can we combine? You had the Warriors going far. I have the Lakers
I've been winning it all.
Yeah, can we combine as the two old teams and we'll be a team on this one? So if either of us get right, then we both get credit. Because it does feel like the LeBron Curry. It's very similar.
I feel like there's a show bet brewing potentially because if you guys are taking those old teams over the Clippers, that's crazy to me. As crazy as the Lakers are, as bad, and I know everything that comes with the Clipper mojo or lack of it.
Yeah.
But the Clippers look really good. Because they have depth, they don't have to run their guys into the ground as much. I know Kawhi's dealing with a little minor thing. I think they go farther than either of those two teams.
Until they get into the new building with the 1,000 toilets, I'm not going to believe that anything's really going to change with the Clippers. Just a little update for you on some of our poll results for today. Now, it's early in the voting, but last hour we did an all-time NBA slam dunk contest draft. Perloff's team is running away with this. Perloff's team of Michael Jordan, Perloff was Michael Jordan, Dominique, and I thought it was Cedric Ceballos.
Well, I threw in Ceballos was an accident because we screwed up the draft.
Okay.
Yeah, we can't do a snake
we're
draft.
supposed to go snake draft.
Rounds.
So I should have had Dr. J. Then I would have won 97%. But anyway,
So now you want Spud Webb.
So EJ's like, who do you want to put on the poll? I said Spud Webb.
Okay, so Perloff gets MJ, Dominique, and Spud Webb. I got Vince Carter, Dr. J, and Nate Robinson, who won that contest 3 times, by the way. And EJ took Zach LaVine, Aaron Gordon, and Jason Richardson. And Perloff is winning this thing in a landslide.
70%.
70%.
I have a couple Hall of Famers.
Okay, another landslide. I did not think it would be. Well, I don't know if I'm surprised by this.
I'm surprised it's this bad.
I'm surprised it's bad too. If you could not work as a professional athlete, so you're not a professional athlete, would life be better at 7'5" or 5'5"?
Wait, let me at 5'5" slaughtered it, right?
Slaughtering 84%.
I'm 6'4", and I have trouble finding sleeves that are long enough.
No, but
That's a foot and an inch.
I know, but I just think for men, like you always want to be tall. Anyway, 7'5" is crazy. Okay, and then does Caitlin Clark need to win a national title to be in the GOAT conversation for women's college basketball? This one's tight. 56% says she does not need to be in the not need to win a title. 44% says she does need to win a title. That's closer.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that she's such a huge star and has not won a title says that you can get to a very, very high level.
Coming up next, of all the reasons for a game to be delayed, this was an all-timer. What would you do in this situation? We'll tell you all the details next. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
We're back here on Maggie and Perloff. All right, we're about to hit a holiday weekend. It's Friday, last hour of the show. Maggie, you teased off air to me that you got a story. This is a high bar. You said it was going to be entertaining. This better be good. We are all judging you right now. Maggie Gray, hit us with something fun.
Oh, I'm going to deliver on this, no doubt. A pair of Colorado high school teammates just made history. They've earned Division I college scholarships to play cornhole. You're welcome, America. Cornhole, Division I cornhole. I didn't even know that was a thing.
So is that a full scholarship, or is it?
I mean, they're getting money.
Any money, I guess, is good.
Gavin Hammond and Jackson Remick, they're 17. They're going to Winthrop University, which I know had a long relationship with the DA show in South Carolina, and they go around the country playing cornhole. And now there's Division I cornhole. I didn't even know that.
That is, I mean.
Wait, so I'm so confused here.
What?
Is there so they're entering, are they the first ones to get scholarships here? So are there other teams that have cornhole teams? Is this going to be sanctioned by the NCAA?
They're the first ever 5-star Division I recruit of cornhole. These two guys.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't know they had rankings. This is getting serious. So they're two-time American Cornhole League high school national champions. And they're reportedly the first to earn scholarships for the game for a Division I school.
You could do a poll. Which is a lamer college sport, cornhole or e-gaming? Because I know that's a scholarship thing too.
I don't think people think that's lame.
It's not lame, but I don't know.
Cool.
Yeah, but it's terrible for parents.
Quidditch.
Yeah, Quidditch.
Quidditch. It's terrible for parents because the 13-year-old can say, well, I can get a college scholarship by playing 9 hours of Call of Duty right now.
Guy's trying to go to school to be a doctor. He can't get a scholarship, but some guy playing Techno Bowl 3 can go and get a scholarship.
Or cornhole.
Cornhole.
It's like, yeah. Is there ever a sport that encourages drinking beer more than cornhole?
Hacky sack.
The scholarships will cover about half of their tuition, according to the Washington Post.
What?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. Come on. Half their tuition?
Wait, Pete, this is good because
not good.
Your kids may have a shot here. You just got to start now.
No. I want my kids to be lawyers, to doctors,
They can do
athletes, pure athletes, not playing video games or playing cornhole. Go play it in the parking lot of a football game.
So you would turn down the scholarship if your kids ended up being elite cornhole players?
I'm not a dummy. I'm not going to turn it down. But I'm not going to encourage or really push them to get a cornhole scholarship. Going to push them to do something else.
But they can still do those things, Pete. Like they can still be a doctor. It's just they got into school playing cornhole.
Ridiculous. This is absurd.
How many people played college sports and gone on to something else other than their sport? That commercial played forever.
Accountants.
Wait, hold on.
Businessmen.
I'm just going to tell you, the out-of-state tuition for 1 year at Winthrop University, according to Google, is $30,000.
That's another ridiculous thing.
I'm just saying, you're going to cover 15,000 of that. I'll put my kid in cornhole right now.
I will say, to Perloff's point, and maybe to Pete's point too, of all the sports, I feel like ultimate frisbee, that's a lot of running.
Have you seen ultimate frisbee? You have to be like the best athlete in the world.
That's what I'm saying. And that's
you also have to be a gigantic nerd to even step on an ultimate frisbee. I mean, come on.
Well, you also have to be smoking 10 pounds of marijuana.
Yeah, but you got to be but you have to be a really good athlete to be a great ultimate frisbee player. I mean, a cornhole,
There's a scholarship right there.
Right. I feel like you did that. I feel like I could see that. Cornhole does feel a little bit like, can't anybody do that?
Can you? I can't.
I'm terrible at cornhole.
Okay, so I don't know why you guys are poo-pooing this.
You know how they have 24/7 for boxing, like the documentary where they're getting. Can you imagine a 24/7 for cornhole? Like what the training consists of? Like just I don't know, throwing your socks into the laundry bin. Is that like the big high? How do you train for cornhole?
It'd be 24 minutes, 7 hours.
And by the way, PED testing for cornhole, that'd be interesting.
Yeah,
encouraged.
What's a performance enhancer?
I mean, cornhole and beer go hand in hand.
Have you guys seen they do this? They show this on TV, by the way, like the cornhole championships and stuff.
I watched them. Yeah.
Can I see?
I saw Jay Cutler competed. They have celebrities. Jay Cutler made the finals.
I watched that too. Yeah.
Can I tell you once? So I know somebody who works for the National Cornhole, whatever they call it. Yeah. He's good. He's a PR guy. He does a great job.
The NCA, National Cornhole Association.
Something like that. And he texted me once and was like, hey, we're looking for people when they were coming to New Jersey. We're looking for people for cornhole. And I was like, oh my gosh, they actually think that I could ever compete in this? And I was like, oh, that's so cool. The next text message. Do you have Bart Scott's number?
But why would they think Bart Scott would be better than you at cornhole?
But
he's better than everything. He's a professional athlete. He's better than everything.
You ever seen a linebacker throw a football? I don't know.
Right.
I mean, Bart might be a good athlete, but non-skill position NFL players are notoriously bad throwers.
I thought you were going to say they were looking for commentators, and I imagine commentating that. Oh, there goes the beanbag. There goes.
Also, Maggie, why are you bad at cornhole? You look like you'd be good at cornhole. You grew up in Binghamton, New York.
We didn't play cornhole. I have terrible hand-eye coordination, which is weird because I play tennis. But I think you guys don't know this. Like, professional athletes are good at everything. Mike Greenberg used to talk about this with Mike Golick all the time. It's true. Once we went to appearance and Bart started playing hockey goalie, like on the side, he was Dominik Hasek. He was so good. He's just good at everything. They have this something that we don't have, us regulars.
I think the big, strong football players are not always coordinated. That's my experience. Basketball players can do anything. Baseball players are really coordinated. I disagree with football. And I know Bart would get mad at me for saying that.
Okay, what about all these athletes that pick up golf and become scratch golfers?
They're all backup quarterbacks. It's like it's Marty Fish versus Case Keenum.
Well, Bart had to be especially coordinated the position he played.
Well, I'm just saying, you go to the Lake Tahoe
to be a linebacker.
Yeah.
You have to
play in that Lake Tahoe.
You need zero coordination.
Or Pebble Beach Pro-Am.
Show me a
like
linebacker.
Aaron Rodgers and
show me one linebacker who's at those Pro-Ams. There's never been one. Maybe Urlacher, but I don't even think so.
Peter Schwartz is here with headlines.
Yeah.
Did the cornhole thing not raise to the bar of of what I could have given you on this Friday afternoon, Perloff?
No, that was good. That was actually the fact that anything that can make Bilotti say that's ridiculous is good. That was really interesting. Actually,
cornhole.
You know why it delivered? Because I'm going to tell somebody this weekend. Do you know that somebody got a D1 scholarship in cornhole? 2 guys, and everybody's gonna be like, "What?" So no, that definitely delivered. You did.
Is
a good
this
job.
a full ride?
Halfway, partial.
Okay, I was just
late
saying,
to the
because,
party.
we're going through this whole thing with offers and scholarships, and I'm like, if cornhole's getting a full ride, maybe my son picked the wrong sport.
So your son is maybe getting a scholarship as a long snapper. That's kind of the cornhole of football.
Try winning a game without a long snapper.
Right, yeah. Well,
All
Giants
right, well,
tried.
we must.
Giants famously failed miserably in a playoff game.
Yeah, that's true. No, we're excited for your son wherever he decides
Got another
to
offer
go.
yesterday. We're at 4 now. So now his agonizing decision has just enhanced.
Is he going to pick the hats? Is he going to?
They're going to do the hats. That's
awesome. That's one of my favorite things in sports.
Get the big hats.
Dumb question.
They won't fit on the table.
Do you get a full ride as a long snapper?
It depends. Yeah, look at that.
He can't pick the Kansas City
Sometimes
Chiefs.
not at first, but there is one school that offered him that said if he wins the starting job, the partial can turn into the full.
One of my favorite things that these recruiting reveals is not only the hats, but then you bring out the mascot of the team. So if there's a little bulldog, you should bring out a little bulldog or something like that. Or if you could find a way to make this, that's what I want to see.
The ones that go viral though is when the mom wanted him to go somewhere else. The mom wants him to go to LSU and he picks Bama or something like that. And the mom just does her hands up.
That one video was so phony because you're telling me that the kid didn't tell his mother before they're making the announcement. I'm going here, and that was funny.
But do they still do those videos? Because doesn't everybody sign up somewhere and then do 3 more schools before they actually land somewhere because of NIL now?
That's true. It's a little different.
The commitment videos they still do. But the problem is even those aren't binding. They could change in an hour.
It's like the NBA draft. Whatever hat you're wearing for the photo is not the hat you're most likely going to end up.
100%.
That is the worst.
Peter, what do you have for us, sir?
Let's start with college basketball. History was made last night.
Filia gets in the paint, pull up, short jumper. No. Long rebound, dug up by Gabby Marshall. Scoops a pass to Clark. Logo 3. Got it. 22 is now number 1. Caitlin Clark is the NCAA's all-time scoring leader in women's basketball history.
That was the call on Learfield IMG last night. Iowa star Caitlin Clark with a career-high 49 points in the Hawkeyes' 106-89 win over Michigan, and she becomes the all-time NCAA women's scoring leader.
Never stop dreaming because you can achieve way more than you ever thought, and I got to live that every single day. So, and I still keep dreaming, and I'm 22 years old, so never stop.
Clark, courtesy of NBC Sports, she now has 3,569 career points. Men's basketball last night, number 2 Purdue over Minnesota, 84-76. Staying with college basketball, I love the story because this actually happened to me once.
Is that right?
The start of last night's FDU versus LIU game in Brooklyn was delayed because members of the Fairleigh Dickinson team got stuck in an elevator at Long Island University's campus in Brooklyn, where their arena is. This happened just before 7 o'clock. The FDNY had to be called in to fix the elevator and get the players out. FDU went on to win 84-82.
Okay, so they all got stuck in the elevator?
A bunch of them did.
And how long were they in there?
Enough to delay the game. I think it was about an hour. I think it was about an hour.
Who would freak out if we were all stuck in an elevator together? Everyone here today. Bellotti, EJ, Pierre Schwartz, Perloff, myself.
I have experience. I live in an apartment building. The elevator gets stuck about once a month, but it's only 10 minutes.
10 minutes feels like eternity.
Yeah, the problem is if you have to go to the bathroom. Hopefully you have a bottle with you. That's all I'm going to say.
Gosh.
And if they were sitting there for an hour, they were all hydrated for the game. I wonder how that went down.
Not to mention hanging 40 stories up in the air for about 10 minutes is not great either.
When I was calling arena football, I was in Grand Rapids with the Dragons. So if we have listeners in Grand Rapids, Van Andel Arena, great building, but the elevator, I was going down to do my pregame interview with the coach, and I get stuck in the elevator with a concession worker who had just delivered food to a suite. So he had nothing left in the cart, and he got in. So the two of us for an hour were in the elevator.
Do you still keep in
stuck.
touch?
No, but I mean,
it's like a life-changing experience.
I couldn't get a sellout, to try and barely got a text to somebody and took like an hour. I'm going to die in an elevator in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
He
didn't have any food left. He had just delivered all the food. At least it would have been better if he still had some food left.
So that's awful because not only can you not eat the food, but you're probably still smelling the hot dog residue, and it's probably making you hungry that whole time.
Just sitting there for an hour, is somebody going to come? And then they finally buzzed the little phone that's in the elevator. They said, we're working on it.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting in here wasting away, and you're working on it. So.
Didn't you get stuck on the elevator at Yankee Stadium?
But I was never worried about that. I was going to a Yankee event. I got parked in the garage. I was never worried about that because it's in a glass elevator, and people were walking by, and I'm like, can someone please help out? And we're going to go get somebody, and it didn't take very long for someone to come
Did you
and
have to
open
bang
up.
on the glass at Yankee Stadium?
Well, I saw 2 reporters that I knew walking by. I'm like, hello, I'm in here. Go downstairs.
Joel
John
Sherman.
and Susan, could you please help me?
I'm not getting in the elevator with you at all, Schwartz. You sound like you're cursed.
Oh my God.
Well, thankfully the ones here are pretty good, pretty reliable. I think mostly.
Oh, now we just jinx him.
Do you remember Steve Summers got stuck in the elevator here
I
once?
did, yeah.
Oh, did he miss some of his show?
Yes, he did.
He went to go have his typical smoke, and I think he got called out on the carpet about that as well. Stop doing that.
Did anyone
Why
ever?
are you doing that?
Anyone ever been in the Orange Bowl elevators? I don't know if you ever did a TV production. When I was doing college football, everyone's like, "Be careful about the elevator," because in Miami, the whole Orange Bowl felt like it was going to collapse onto itself at any given time. But the elevator froze once a game, and everybody knew it.
Yeah. Well, let's go to the NBA. We'll start in Salt Lake City. Klay Thompson was a force off the bench.
Back to the basket. Klay gets it from Kuminga, fires a 3. Hits another one! Oh, Klay Thompson, 7 of 11 from downtown. He's got 35.
That was Tim Roy on Warriors Radio. Warriors beat the Jazz 140-137. Klay Thompson, 35 points off the bench.
Found out this morning. Me and Steve had a good talk about it. And, you could do 2 things. You could pout, or you can go out there and respond. And I thought I did the latter very well tonight.
Thompson off the bench for the first time since his rookie season, March 11th, 2012. Also, the Grizzlies beat the Bucks 113-110. The T-Wolves over the Blazers 128-91. Baseball, Commissioner Rob Manfred announcing that this will be his final term in office. He will retire when his contract is up in January of 2029, so we still have 5 more years of ruining baseball.
Yeah, I mean...
With the exception of speeding up the game. I do like that, yes.
He sped up the game, which is good. He called the trophy a piece of metal, which was bad. I don't think Rob Manfred's a very popular dude. He's also just kind of contentious guy, right? So he said his 2 biggest things before he leaves are going to be expanding, right? They want 32 teams now instead of 30 in Major League Baseball. Yeah, I think that's going to be his parting shot.
That's going to be awful.
I think this jersey thing, to me, I just don't get it. I don't understand what the big deal is. I looked at the jersey 3 or 4 times. They look the same. Are they that different?
Don't.
The print is small.
Lettering
Who cares?
is different. The
lettering is
off.
different. Who cares? It's not.
It cares if you've got a traditional uniform and it looks different than it was before.
Right.
I mean, baseball is built on tradition. I remember when they put a swoosh on the Yankee pinstripes, and
Disgusting.
I thought half the city was going to melt into itself.
And for the Mets, the team in the uniform is bad too.
Well, that's the bigger problem.
I think baseball's problem is this kind of pearl clutching about tradition. Like, let's modernize. Let's, to Manfred's credit, he was here. The game clock. Can you imagine the game before the pitch clock? It feels like if they took that away, I would freak out.
It's only been here for a year.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I just think we're being
You become accustomed
precious.
to a certain lifestyle.
Becoming precious about stuff.
I would take away the pitch clock just to have the uniforms back to what they were.
Because the print is smaller?
Yes. It looks horrible.
Wow.
It looks like a kid did it. Like I said, first hour of the show.
I must not be doing the right Google search because I can barely tell the difference. You got to send me what it looks so terrible.
There are some tweets that have side-by-side pictures of the same jersey, and it's completely
Listen.
I mean, I
horrendous.
saw a picture of the new manager for the Mets, Mendoza, his jersey in the back of it while he was wearing it, and that must have been 5-point font.
His jersey
You could
says
barely
council.
It looks like a Little League jersey.
You
When
could
your kids
barely
get the
see
Little
his
League, your
name. You
names
couldn't
are
read it.
little tiny letters.
And that is ruining your baseball experience?
Yeah,
you
because
can't.
it's not tradition.
It looks dopey.
Here's the funny thing about it, though, and this is where you guys, I'm actually going to go with Perloff on this one, that you guys are being a little crazy about it. Some of the best uniforms we have in baseball have no names on the back. That's exactly the big thing with the Yankees, with the Boston Red Sox. You just have to know who the players are by their number and sight, and that's how you can tell who the true fans are.
But the other issue has been that players pointing out, and this is true, that some of the colors are a bit off, and the font on some of the lettering is off.
Well,
oh my God! What is this? This is a professional sport.
Yeah, you should look good too.
Not a fashion school thing. What is going on here?
You need to look good. Any traditional uniforms, make them look correctly. If I'm going to spend $200 on a jersey, I want it to look right.
Deion Sanders said it best. Look good, feel good. Feel
That's
good, you
it.
play good.
No, yeah.
Deion Sanders is about to have a halftime show during the spring
Right.
game.
He knows about fashion. He knows how important it
and
is.
a fashion show.
No uniform tradition in all of sports is dumber than the manager wearing a uniform. That is the all-time
dumb.
thing.
You're right.
And so, like, that's a low bar.
Look at that.
Jack McKeon
Tommy
was 80.
LaShorta?
That's great.
I kind of hope that Terry Francona wasn't wearing a jersey under that little pullover he had. I know he was, but like the fact that MLB was like checking him, I'm like, no, one day I want him to just be wearing a tank top.
How awesome
just
would
to
be-
show how ridiculous this thing is.
What if football coaches had to wear a uniform and Andy Reid had to suit up every day? That would be amazing.
The punt passing kick.
Or
like that, yeah.
Or in the NBA, if the guys had to wear shorts. Sure. I mean, it is crazy,
Greg
right?
Popovich wearing a.
How did the tradition start? The managers wore uniforms. It's nuts.
They always did.
Player coaches.
Back the early days of baseball, I think they wore a suit and tie, and they just
Oh, right,
started-
Connie Mack, right?
Yeah. See, that would be wonderful if a basketball coach wore the basketball jersey, but no T-shirt.
Popovich.
Yeah, Greg
Could you
Popovich.
imagine?
Who would look the best? Not Tom Thibodeau. I don't think so.
I do like the way the coaches are uniformed now with those pullovers that started during the pandemic. I do like those.
I missed the tie, the suit, the Pat Riley suit, the Larry Brown suit. I mean, those were the best.
College basketball is interesting though because there's no rules, so you'll have a team like Rick Pitino. You know, he's one of the best dressed coaches ever. You know, he's wearing an Armani suit and he's playing against Shaka Smart. He's wearing like a polo shirt and sweatpants. Basically, it's a very weird visual.
Yeah.
I think
I like the suits.
You know who kind of set NBA back? Budenholzer always looked so sloppy on the sideline. He was a good coach, but I thought I agree the pullover is a little too lame.
Who set it back? I mean, even though he was wearing a suit, I mean, how Jeff Van Gundy just looks so disheveled all the time. It's like the guys had slept in 6 weeks.
He looks like he bought that suit at Men's Warehouse the day before. It doesn't fit right. Yeah. No, that's a great.
So that's why I like the current look, because if they run up and down the court and they're yelling at the players, that nice pullover doesn't really get out of place too much.
Yeah.
But the all-time Pat Riley, I mean, impeccable.
Excellent.
Without a doubt.
Yep.
The suits are gorgeous.
And the guy we're missing now, the current GOAT who's now retired, Jay Wright.
Jay Wright was very stylish.
You know who was dapper
was the
NBA
man.
head coach? Chuck Daly. Chuck
He's the
Daly was
original.
always
Old school.
very well. That was a
Pocket
outstanding.
square. Yeah.
Yeah, Isaiah Thomas said when he became the coach of the Knicks that his style was inspired by Chuck Daly.
Too bad he didn't coach like Chuck Daly.
Yeah, I know. Well, one thing he did
hire
right.
like Chuck Daly.
Yeah, and really anything about Isaiah coaching the
treat
Knicks is going to
employees
be
like Chuck Daly.
it's going to be bad. Do you remember they used to
like
wear
Chuck Daly.
the plaid coats back in the day? Doug
Larry
Moe.
Brown,
Yeah.
Brown, Doug Moe, the ABA. I'm just sorry. Just if anybody who's saying managers in baseball, just picture Tommy Lasorda in your mind with that belly
beer
coming
belly
over.
or whatever it was.
They should have it. That's why they should do it for Tommy Lasordas of the world.
And he waddle out there just to yell at somebody.
Looks great. He beats up the Philly Fanatic. Everyone's happy.
You know who could wear one? Buck Showalter, even he's got older. Like that guy could wear a uniform. He looked cool, I think.
Yeah, Buck was
He
okay.
wore the pullover a lot.
Yeah, you wear the pullover. All right.
A man of a certain age has to wear the pullover.
I want to follow this all season long. I think you're going to forget about the small lettering by May 1st, Bilotti.
Nope.
Gotta keep that energy.
Especially when the Mets go 5-16 in April.
You're going to blame the lettering? If your team falters, you're going to blame the lettering?
There'll be nothing to talk about.
I might just bring in on Tuesday 4 different Yankee jerseys to wear on the 4 updates just to prove a point.
Ooh.
Perloff's not here Tuesday, so I won't.
Yeah, me and EJ.
Yeah.
And even so, wait, what's your point?
I'm just saying, the jerseys should look the way they're supposed to look.
Why do you have a John Vanderwall jersey?
Oh, man.
Is that Kareem Garcia?
Oscar Azokar.
You really stand out around here wearing a Yankees jersey. I'm like, whoa, Schwartz.
Ramiro Mendoza. Wow.
Oh, man.
Point taken.
Rafael Santana?
Greg Bird jersey, not available. All right, 855-212. Thank you, Pierre. Peter Schwartz, 855-212-4227. Coming up, we're just reveling. We're reveling in the next story because one team that we always love to hate is just going down the tubes. We'll get that to you next. Maggie Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. All right, a couple things for you. Number one, we were talking about just how bad things got with the Patriots, Perloff, at the end of the Brady Belichick era, because this new documentary is coming out today about how bad their relationship was. Well, apparently things really bad last year, to the point in the quarterback room where Bailey Zappi and Mac Jones couldn't even watch film together. There's a new report out that Zappi would go and watch film with the wide receivers because they couldn't even be in the same room. I mean, where are the coaches on this one? And where's Belichick? Where's Bill O'Brien? If this is true and they couldn't watch film together, what a toxic place that has to be.
I mean, how can Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi not get along? They're basically the same person.
Well, I think they were pitted against each other. I mean, I'm sure they're both really competitive guys. And, you know, one guy's getting benched, the other guy's coming in, the other guy's getting benched. I don't think they handled this quarterback stuff properly.
My only point is neither was playing well. Like, who are they to fight with each other? Because they're both struggling, and they're both... You know, they're both kind of underdog stories. Mac Jones, I know, was a first-round pick, but he was famously a 3-star recruit.
Right.
I've heard he's a very nice guy from many different people. It's a weird fight, and I agree with you. It points to the coaching staff. But that being said, a lot of those guys are gone. I know Gerard Mayo is back, but I don't feel like... Do you feel like this is going to bleed into next year? I mean, it depends who's quarterback.
Yeah, I was going to say, who's going to be the quarterback? It's going to be someone else. I mean, Gerard Mayo basically went out and said it, that they're going to draft a quarterback third overall.
Yeah. And they have Alex Van Pelt now, who's famously very close to a lot of players. So I think this documentary is not going to be as good. The post-Brady Patriots documentary.
the real downfall.
The big ones on Apple, this is going to be like Freebie or something. It's going to be more of a digital short on the Bailey Zappi years. Yeah.
This is the straight-to-video.
This feels more like an internet-only documentary. It is an amazing... Are you going to watch this Apple thing, by the way?
Yeah, for sure. Anything that, it's going to be hard to watch the first couple episodes because I think it's going to be all about the rise of the Patriots, which is going to be hard to stomach as fan of a different team.
It's going to be the worst.
Can I just fast forward to the downfall, which never even really happened? Just Brady left.
Yeah, downfall was 12-4 in 2019.
Yeah, no, I'll watch it. I'm interested. Okay, this is another one we found interesting. So we obviously been talking and celebrating women's college basketball all day because of Caitlin Clark, and rightly so, and the game's in an amazing spot. So when you get a lot more attention, you're just going to get a lot more attention. So yesterday, there was a melee in a women's college basketball game. And I'm not using that term loosely here, like, it's just a dust-up or, a brouhaha. This was an all-time fight. It was between Arkansas State and Southern Miss. Thank you. Now, I'm telling you, this was an all-time melee. Tell me if it sounds like an all-time melee.
3 on the way, off the mark. Dom Davis. And a melee going on the bench over at Southern Miss.
This could get ugly. It has gotten ugly.
This could be really bad as Davis was tied up with Emma Imevbere. Imevbere shoved her, and punches were thrown as well. Southern Miss assistant coach Jessica Barber involved in some action. She was on the court as well.
My guy, this was like a bar fight basically happened in the middle of this game. Now it's just like throwing some punches, multiple chicks punching each other. People end up on the ground. People came out from the stands. You would have thought this was
happened?
Yes, this was like ho-hum, and she's going to take the ball out of bounds. I mean, this was a big deal.
Tied up with Emma Imevbere.
Wait, so you're saying multiple people were throwing punches?
Yes.
I haven't seen this.
I'll have the video for you.
5 players and 3 fans were ejected from this
that?
game. For this fight, yeah, and what you just heard.
I heard 2 players and 1 assistant coach.
It was bad.
Ugly. It has gotten ugly.
This could be really bad as Davis was tied up with Emma Imevbere.
I mean, could be bad, dude.
That's what I hate about this, is that or love about this, is because he's talking about the past. They're still fighting while this is happening. They're fighting on the bench, where she's like, yeah, they were tied up under the. I'm like, hey, dude, there's punches being thrown now.
There's hair extensions flying. I mean, guy, come on. Can you imagine if this was Kevin Harlan or Gus Johnson? You needed our guy like a boxing person on this. It was a crazy fight, and it's like, all right, well, These two ladies are scrapping together like they're fighting for a rebound. Come on. They're on the bench. Like the chairs are going everywhere. Again, people are jumping out of the stands into this thing.
Melee going on the bench over at Southern Miss.
Oh, my gosh. Can I not get Gus Johnson?
Oh, Gus Johnson would make it like it was a world-class championship fight.
Right. It would have been like Holyfield Tyson.
Tuesday night fights.
Where's Lampley? Fighting in a phone booth.
I mean, this fan came out of nowhere, too, that ran onto the...
Meanwhile, they left two little kids who were in the front row who were like just playing around, like two little kids who clearly were dragged to the game or whatever. And then whoever it is, the woman jumps out from next to them to get on the fight. This was an all-timer, and we get no good play-by-play out of this. I'm sorry. I don't mean to call these people out, but...
He really also no-sold the assistant coach. Like, she was, like, really injured. Like, her leg, something was wrong. He's like, the assistant coach is down.
We know. It just did not match. Anyway, yeah, that happened also. But Caitlin Clark was really the story. South Carolina won it on the road in Tennessee.
Who won the Southern Miss game?
I don't know. Everyone got ejected. I'm surprised they finished the game. Again, it was a real Malice at the Palace, and we got none of that. Anywho, that was just a little something for you.
Trust me, the Pete Bellotti versus Pierre Schwartz matchup will not sound like that with me on commentary.
Oh, my goodness. You're going to have commentators from all over the world calling that fight.
I know. I can't wait to hear the South Korean call. That's going to be awesome.
Bellotti, I thought you were going to back away. Will you really wrestle?
I would.
This is happening.
He will wrestle Pierre Schwartz,
I'm surprised. I would think that you'd be afraid. Pete.
Not amateur wrestling, no way. It'd be pro wrestling.
We will not rest until we make the Pete Bellotti, Peter Schwartz / Pierre Schwartz fight happen. Thank you, EJ Stewart. Thank you to Pete Bellotti. Thank you to Peter Schwartz and to Andrew Kaplan, Guido's Coffee Drinkers. Thank you.